In the distant past, before chakra shaped the shinobi world and people relied on steel and raw strength, there lived a man whose name stirred fear across oceans. Dracule Mihawk, the undisputed master of the blade. Time buried his legend, yet his spirit refused to fade. Now, fate had chosen a new vessel, a lonely boy by the name of Uzumaki Naruto. Unknown place, an endless sea stretched into infinity, its waters calm yet unsettling. Above, a strange sky loomed, greenish-gray without stars, sun, or moon, yet somehow light still existed. Rising from the water were countless black iron pillars, stabbing both sky and sea, their ends swallowed by shadow. Among them stood a towering gate of metal bars, reinforced by a paper seal inscribed with the kanji for lock. Ripples disturbed the still waters, spreading outward from behind the gate. Their source was a colossal beast, the nine-tailed fox. The creature lay sprawled lazily, its front paws crossed beneath its muzzle. One massive tail flicked, disturbing the sea once more. Though the water appeared bottomless, the fox's form barely sank, as though resting on an invisible floor. With a wide yawn, the Kyuubi revealed its row of jagged fangs. Its blood-red eyes scanned the horizon in a bored routine before closing again. Another day of nothing, the fox thought, a sigh echoing in its mind. 6 years had passed since it had been chained within the body of a newborn named Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, a name still hidden from the village at large. Well, not always nothing, the beast corrected itself. In the beginning, its prison had been nothing but pure white emptiness with the seal gate. Then, slowly, the void shifted, first to gray skies, then to rising waters. Over time, the boy's inner world twisted into the dreary ocean it saw now. The fox almost missed the blank void. No surprise, it mused bitterly. The brat lives in utter loneliness. 3 people can't fill the void of a life. HMPH, with my luck, this place will rot into a sewer next. Its grumbling thoughts halted when it sensed the faintest disturbance across the waters. Something small, distant, was moving toward the gate. Curious, the beast opened its eyes. Naruto had never once entered his own mindscape, and no other presence should exist here. Minutes passed. The speck drew closer, taking shape. The fox's ears twitched. A black platform, a mast, it squinted. What in? The Kyuubi's eyes widened as the object became clear. A coffin-shaped boat drifting silently across the endless ocean. Its mast was a massive silver cross with black sails unfurled. Green flames burned atop 2 large white candles fixed on either side. At the base of the mast sat a man, arms folded across his knee, his wide-brimmed black hat casting shadows over his face. The eerie craft glided to a stop before the gate. Silence pressed down until the man finally raised his head. The fox shivered. His gaze was sharper than Madara's, colder than even the sage's. Yellow irises encircled with darker gold pierced like a hawk's, merciless, unblinking. "Who are you, human?" the Kyuubi demanded, its tails twitching with unease. The man observed him quietly before answering. "Dracule Mihawk, once called the world's greatest swordsman," the fox snorted. "A grand title. I am the Kyuubi no Yoko, mightiest of the Biju." Mihawk's expression didn't flicker. His gaze slid to the iron bars. "A cage unusual. I've never seen such a prison in all my days." The fox growled. "This is a seal. We stand within a boy's mind, my jailers. He was only an infant when they bound me here. Yet I have never seen anyone like you within this place." Mihawk's eyes swept the endless sea. "Much time must have passed since my end. In my last breath, the seas still bowed to the navy, and only 2 of the 4 emperors lived. I was one of the final warlords of the sea." The fox narrowed its eyes. "Never heard of them. Likely before my father, the sage of 6 paths, shaped this world. But answer me, if you're dead, why are you here?" Mihawk tilted his head. "You said this is a child's mindscape?" The beast gave a curt nod. "Yes, it reflects his heart and thoughts, empty, bleak, just like his life outside." The swordsman's gaze lingered on the waters, his tone grave. "I see his solitude. I can almost picture his lifeless eyes. That, at least, is not new to me." The Kyuubi bristled. "You still haven't answered me." "Because I don't know," Mihawk admitted calmly. "I cannot sense my soul whole, but I feel a shard of it here within this boy. I believe he carries a fragment of me." The fox blinked. "A descendant, an ancestor of his mother, perhaps." Mihawk shook his head. "No. I fathered no children. This isn't blood, it's soul. A remnant." The beast's grin showed sharp teeth. A reincarnation then, not unusual. The sage's sons walked the earth again through Asura and Indra's rebirths. I've witnessed it firsthand. Mihawk nodded slowly. Then this boy is my reincarnation. His gaze flicked briefly to the seal. Can I meet him? Yes, the fox rumbled. But not yet. He's never entered here, lacks the will, the patience. Tonight in sleep I'll drag him in. Mihawk inclined his head. Then I'll wait. Folding his arms, he leaned back and closed his eyes, already resting. The Kyuubi sweat dropped. This is the man they called the greatest swordsman. Evening streets of Konoha, Naruto's day had been like all the rest, miserable. In truth, he could barely remember a single good day in his short life. Every morning he woke with hope, and every night that hope was crushed. The rare exception came when the Hokage stopped by for a brief visit, or when Uchiha offered him a steaming bowl of ramen. But such kindness was fleeting, the warmth always faded and the hunger always returned. Loneliness was his constant companion. He had no family, no friends. To the villagers, shinobi and civilian alike, he was invisible at best, a nuisance at worst. At first he hadn't noticed, back when he lived in the orphanage. But when the matron cast him out at 4 years old, everything changed. The Hokage, his Jiji, had secured him a crumbling apartment and covered his bills. He even gave Naruto a small monthly allowance. Naruto was grateful, but it never lasted. The shopkeepers gouged him with outrageous prices, selling spoiled food and sneering when he protested. Once, a vendor even chased him with a bat for daring to complain. Since then, Naruto learned to swallow the injustice in silence. When it came to making friends, life was even harsher for him. None of the other kids wanted to play with him. A few curious ones had tried to approach, but their parents were always hovering nearby and would quickly drag them away. Adults gave him nothing but cold stares, whispering insults under their breath. He didn't fully understand the meaning of those words yet, but he felt the sting all the same. He was completely alone. Yes, there were a handful of people who treated him kindly, but he could count them on one hand and still have fingers left over. The Hokage had a whole village to run, and Uchiha and Im were busy running their ramen shop. They couldn't always be there for him. Letting out a long sigh, Naruto trudged back into his apartment, ignoring the fresh scrawl of hateful graffiti on his door. He went straight to his room. Today felt heavier than usual. With no one to spend time with, he had thrown himself into training, hoping that getting stronger might at least make sparring at the academy a little more bearable. But the academy was another painful reminder of his reality. It had only been a few weeks since classes began, but the situation was clear already. Teachers treated him like he was invisible, and his classmates avoided him as if he carried some kind of plague. The only time he could interact with anyone was during practice matches, but even then he always lost. His teacher deliberately matched him against the best student, Uchiha Sasuke, or against kids desperate to prove themselves by beating him, like that loudmouth with the dog, Inuzuka Kiba. With another sigh, Naruto dropped onto his bed and drifted into a shallow sleep, never realizing that this was the very moment when his fate would begin to change forever. Inside Naruto's mindscape, "He's finally here," rumbled a deep, booming voice. Naruto jerked awake in shock, suddenly aware of water beneath his feet. Panic gripped him at first, but when he realized he wasn't drowning, his breathing calmed. That was until he noticed a massive fox with 9 flowing tails staring down at him from behind a giant gate. "I see why I was drawn here," the beast's voice echoed. "Alongside the fragment of my soul, I can feel it, even in his fear that fire burns in his eyes." Another voice spoke from the side, and Naruto's head whipped around. Standing there was a tall man with piercing eyes, a huge black sword strapped across his back like a cross. The sheer sight of him sent a chill through Naruto's body. Who are you?" Naruto stammered, fear written all over his face. The man didn't move, but the enormous fox grinned wickedly. "Oh, how I missed that expression," it chuckled. "You learn to savor the little things only after they've been taken from you." Its tone shifted, becoming serious. "To answer your question, boy, I am the Kyuubi no Yoko." Naruto's eyes went wide in horror. The Kyuubi, but Jiji said that I was killed by the 4th Hokage. Unfortunately for you, I cannot be destroyed so easily. I am pure chakra. 6 years ago, I was torn from my prison, only for the 4th to sacrifice himself and seal me again, into the body of a newborn child. The fox raised a massive tail and pointed directly at Naruto. Naruto's lips trembled. Why me? Why would he do that to me? It's simple, the fox replied, voice disturbingly calm. The fourth's wife, your mother, was my former host. Her clan valued family above all else. Perhaps he believed only his own child could carry this burden. His child. Yes, boy, you are the son of the fourth Hokage, Namikaze Minato, and your mother, Uzumaki Kushina, was my previous vessel. The fox's grin widened. Naruto's chest tightened. Then why do they all treat me like this? If I'm the Hokage's son, shouldn't I be respected? The answer stands before you. The fools of this village see me when they look at you. They believe you are the demon, when in truth I am merely sealed inside you. The Kyuubi sneered, making sarcastic air quotes with its tails. Even if the truth were shoved in their faces, they'd deny it. That's not fair, Naruto shouted, tears forming in his eyes. Fairness? The fox laughed bitterly. Welcome to reality, boy. Life is rarely fair. My very existence is proof of that. Then it shifted its attention, one tail gesturing to the silent swordsman. But enough of me. There's someone else who wants a word with you. Naruto shivered again under the man's gaze. It was somehow even more unsettling than the Kyuubi's. Greetings, boy, the swordsman said flatly. I am Dracule Mihawk, once known as the greatest swordsman in the world. Naruto swallowed hard as an invisible weight pressed down on him. Whoever this man was, he felt even more dangerous than the nine-tailed beast. Greatest swordsman? Yes. Though my death was long ago, and that title has surely been claimed by another. Mihawk's eyes remained cold. Yet I stand before you because you are my reincarnation. A fragment of my soul lingers within you. Naruto blinked in shock. Our reincarnation? That's right. You carry the potential to once again claim the title I held, to become the greatest swordsman this world will ever know. And I am here to see that through. Naruto's fear quickly gave way to awe. You mean I can really become the greatest? Yes, Mihawk replied. But the road will be long and merciless. You will face enemies beyond imagination. This is not the path of a shinobi. It is the path of the blade. A life of discipline, mastery, and honor. Tell me, are you truly prepared to walk it? Naruto stared down at the water beneath his feet. Choosing this path might mean giving up his dream of becoming Hokage. But to become the greatest, greater than even the Hokage, his fists clenched with resolve. Looking up, his eyes burned with determination. I'll do it. I'll become the strongest swordsman in the world, and with that strength, I'll protect the people I love. Mihawk's expression didn't change. Then you must accept this truth. Your enemies will strike at those you care for most. Then that's even more reason, Naruto shouted, voice trembling but fierce. If I'm the greatest, no one will ever be able to hurt them. For the first time, Mihawk allowed a small grin. What a spirit, it's been a long time since I've seen such a fire in someone, he thought. But know this, Mihawk continued, voice sharp as a blade. If you truly wish to walk this path, you must be willing to die for it. Naruto froze, eyes widening. Even the Kyuubi lifted a brow. To become the greatest swordsman, you must first cast aside your life, and I will be the one to end it. Mihawk's gaze narrowed. With a single fluid motion, he drew the massive black blade from his back. The air grew heavy. You may choose, Mihawk said evenly. Do you want the strike on your chest or on your back? Naruto swallowed hard, trembling, but then remembered something the old man once told him about samurai. If he took a strike on the back, it would mean he ran away. That was something the strongest warriors would never do. Straightening up, he met Mihawk's eyes. On my chest. I'll face it head-on. Mihawk's grin widened slightly, recalling words once spoken by another swordsman long ago. Scars on the back are a swordsman's shame. Raising Yoru high, Mihawk brought the blade down in a devastating slash. The water behind Naruto split for miles, waves crashing violently, but not a single scratch appeared on the boy. Naruto blinked in shock. What? This blade is Yoru, Mihawk explained, lowering it. My sword and yours as well, it will never harm its true master. He turned the weapon in his hand. You've proven your spirit, boy. But remember, never throw your life away so carelessly again. There is always a way forward, always. My name is Dracule Mihawk. Understand yourself, understand this world, and grow stronger. No matter how long it takes, I will remain here as the strongest until the day you surpass me. This blade, surpass it. Surpass me, Uzumaki Naruto. Mihawk's voice carried finality as he lowered the black blade. Now place your hand on Yoru and claim the path meant for you. Naruto stood frozen, staring at both the man and the weapon. Slowly, with unshakable resolve, he reached forward and wrapped his fingers around the hilt. Instantly, a surge of violet radiance erupted, so blinding that even the great fox had to shield its eyes with a paw. The brilliance engulfed everything for only a few moments, but when it faded, the scene had changed. Mihawk was gone, Yoru too had vanished, yet Naruto remained, and he was no longer the same boy. The once scrawny child had grown taller, lean muscle replacing baby fat. His golden hair was pulled sharply back, sideburns more defined and pointed. The whisker-like marks on his cheeks deepened, and his once bright eyes now gleamed with the same piercing intensity as Mihawk's, cold and hawk-like. Even the Kyuubi, ancient and prideful, couldn't hide its unease. "How do you feel, Kit?" the fox asked, still startled by the transformation. Naruto's calm, steely tone matched his new expression. "I feel better than ever." His gaze swept across the endless ocean. "This place, it's my mind, right?" "That's correct," the fox replied cautiously. Naruto closed his eyes. "Then it's time to reshape it." The fox's jaw slackened as the ocean split apart, a colossal island rising from the depths. The skies darkened, clouds swirling into shades of black and violet. The metal bars of the seal dissolved into nothing, and before them stood a towering ancient castle, surrounded by thick forests and ruins, cloaked in violet mist. It was unmistakable, Kuregana Island, reborn within his mind, a fragment of Mihawk's memories now his own. "Can I ask something?" came a soft, unfamiliar female voice. Naruto already knew who it was. He turned. "What is it, Kyuubi?" The voice belonged to a striking woman with crimson hair cascading in curls, eyes to match, dressed in gothic Lolita fashion, dark frills, crimson boots, a wide hat, and a red umbrella decorated with eyes and small horns. In her arms she clutched a fox-shaped plush with the Shinigami's seal stitched on its belly. Naruto blinked once. "Clothes? I can see that," the Kyuubi barked, hurling the umbrella. "What I want to know is why am I wearing this ridiculous outfit? Why the umbrella? It's not even raining." Before she could rant further, a guttural sound came from behind. A pack of towering mandrills emerged, one picking up her discarded umbrella and mimicking her dramatic throw. What are those?" she demanded. "Human drills," Naruto replied evenly, a faint smile on his lips. "They lived on this island with Mihawk, and Perona, the girl whose style you're wearing. So you're recreating his home then?" Kurama eyed the bizarre creatures as they swung their weapons wildly. "Something like that," Naruto admitted, his eyes drifting to the castle. Memories not his own, memories of Mihawk as the world's greatest swordsman, echoed in his mind. The woman glanced at her chest, exaggeratedly displayed by the dress, and smirked. "Are you sure these were her clothes and not some fantasy of yours?" Naruto stared without flinching. "Yes." Kurama gave him a deadpan look. "I already miss the old brat." Naruto tilted his head. "By the way, what should I call you?" "Kyuubi feels more like a title than a name." She studied him carefully. "Kyuubi no Yoko is indeed only a title. My true name is Precious, I don't just hand it out." "In that case," Naruto said coolly, "you can call me the future greatest swordsman in the world. Seems fair, title for title." She narrowed her eyes. "And why should I?" "Because you already know my name," he answered without hesitation. Kurama exhaled sharply, shoulders loosening. "Kurama, that is my name." Without waiting for a response, she walked toward the looming castle. "Kurama," Naruto repeated softly, committing it to memory. He then summoned a katana into his hand, his expression sharpening as the human drills advanced. "Now's time to knock the rust off this blade." With a grin, he charged forward, the beasts roaring back at him in unison. The next morning, Hokage's office. Hiruzen Sarutobi scowled at the towering mountain of paperwork on his desk. The professor, the god of shinobi, the Sandaime Hokage himself, reduced to signing requests for kennel repairs and spa expansions. He groaned inwardly. "Perhaps a war would be less of a curse than this, Kami. I'm starting to sound like Danzo." "Hokage-sama," his secretary's nervous voice came through the intercom. "Uzumaki Naruto is here to see you." "Should I let him in, Naruto? At this hour he should be at the academy." "Yes, send him in." Moments later, a knock. At his command, the door opened. The boy who stepped through nearly made Hiruzen shiver. "Hokage-sama," Naruto greeted, bowing with calm grace. The old man's eyes widened. Naruto had never addressed him with such formality, always jijji, always brash and carefree. Now his gait, his voice, his eyes like a hawk. "Naruto-kun?" Hiruzen asked carefully. The hidden ANBU observing shared his confusion. "Yes," Naruto's tone was even. "I've come to discuss something important. I hope I'm not disturbing you." Hiruzen glanced at the endless paperwork and forced a smile. "Of course not, but first, your eyes, your presence. What has happened to you?" Naruto leaned forward, unshaken. "I'll tell you. But in return, I expect something from you, an exchange of truths." Hiruzen's mind raced, his chakra controlled, his manner refined. This is no academy student anymore. "What is it you want to know?" Naruto's answer hit like a blade. "Why was I never told that I am the son of Namikaze Minato, the fourth Hokage, and Uzumaki Kushina, the previous Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi?" The office went still. Even the ANBU froze. "How do you know?" Hiruzen stammered. "The fox told me," Naruto said plainly. "I confronted it last night, it explained some things. This morning, I also unlocked my chakra with its guidance." Hiruzen dismissed the ANBU with a gesture, then activated privacy seals. He sighed, shoulders heavy. "Naruto, I'll tell you everything now. But you must understand, I didn't keep the truth from you out of cruelty." Naruto simply nodded. "Your parents were legends, and their names carried as much danger as prestige. If I revealed your heritage, yes, perhaps more shinobi would have defended you. But Iwa, Kumo, even Kiri would have marked you for death. Their assassins would not hesitate, even against a child. And with the hatred you already face from the fox's burden, I believed this secret was the only shield I could offer you. I can see why Iwa would hold a grudge, given my father's reputation during the Third Great War. And the fox told me Kumo once tried to kidnap my mother. But what about Kiri?" Naruto asked, arching a brow as Hiruzen gave a nervous smile. "During her first year as a Jonin, your mother completely embarrassed the generation of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist back then. Some of them survived, and their successors still carry a desire for payback against her. So, my mother wasn't just good with seals and chains, she was also a swordswoman." "That's interesting." "More than interesting," Kurama's voice echoed in his mind as she floated lazily above the castle in his inner world, enjoying the wings Naruto had granted her like Perona's ability. "Your mother was known for her brute strength with chains and ninjutsu, but with a blade she was deadly too." Hiruzen's eyes softened as he sighed. "That should explain most of it. Still, I hope you'll forgive my failures in how I treated you all these years." Naruto's face remained calm and unreadable. "There's no need for apologies, Hokage-sama. I can understand your reasons even if it meant I had to grow up alone." His voice carried no emotion. He then began to explain what happened that fateful night, the encounter with Mihawk, their merging, and the goal he now pursued. By the time he finished, Hiruzen sat frozen, eyes wide in disbelief. "That's a lot. If it weren't for your new eyes and knowledge, I'd swear this sounded like drunken rambling," Hiruzen muttered flatly. Naruto smirked faintly. "I do crave a good red wine these days, but drugs? Never." His tone was firm, though his new personality leaned more toward rest and quiet than pranks. The Hokage leaned forward. "Then what will you do now?" Naruto's expression sharpened with purpose. "I'll train in the shadows for years if I must, mind and body both, until I become the greatest swordsman the world has ever seen. But for that I'll need access to my parents' bank account. There's something I need to fund." Hiruzen frowned. "And what exactly is this project?" Naruto's lips curled into a small, knowing grin. "A sword." The old man couldn't have known it then, but that blade would mark the first step on Naruto's chosen path. The path to becoming the greatest. Naruto's apartment. The morning sun had only just begun to climb when Naruto rose from his bed. He moved with quiet focus, taking a cold shower to shock his body awake, before dressing in clean clothes. Grabbing an apple from the kitchen, he sat calmly on the couch, munching while flipping through one of the Academy's textbooks. The day before, Hiruzen had realized Naruto's books were years out of date. In an attempt to make amends, the Hokage had not only provided the newest versions, but the full set for the next 6 years. Kurama yawned in his mindscape. "So what's the plan today?" Training, of course. I'm too weak as I am. Right now, the idea of being the greatest swordsman alive is laughable. Naruto's eyes didn't leave the page. And it was true. He had more stamina than his peers, and his chakra reserves were already far beyond theirs thanks to Kurama. The merging with Mihawk had sharpened his mind, given him focus, and granted him eyes with terrifying clarity. He could track even the fastest shinobi, ANBU, or that strange green-clad man shouting about youth, though Shunshin techniques still lost him after a blink. Mihawk's memories, however, were another story. He could recall countless sword styles and replicate their forms, but translating them into his young body was nearly impossible. His attempts against the humanoid apes within his inner training realm always ended the same way, brutal defeat in mere seconds. Still, it gave him direction, and time was on his side. After hours of study, he set his book aside and headed for the shinobi equipment district. The stares and whispers that followed him down the streets hardly registered anymore. Hiruzen had explained away his new eyes as an awakened Genjutsu under investigation, though everyone already suspected more. Inside the weapons shop, Naruto scanned shelves of gear, medical supplies, and blades until a shopkeeper with short brown hair emerged from the back. Sweat and dust on his clothes showed he'd been busy, but the moment his gaze landed on Naruto, his face paled. Naruto walked to the counter with steady steps. "I'll need training weights for wrists and ankles, preferably with sealing formulas for adjusting weight. And I'd also like books on taijutsu, fuinjutsu, survival, and medical studies." The man blinked, startled by the seriousness of the request. I can sell you basic weights, but sealed equipment and those books are restricted to active shinobi. Same for the medicines." Naruto had expected as much. He nodded. "Then I'll just take the weights and the survival manual." As the man rang up the items, Naruto noticed a small pile of strange papers on the counter. "What are those?" "Chakra paper," the shopkeeper explained. "It reveals a shinobi's elemental affinity. See here." He picked up a sheet, channeled chakra, and the paper crumbled before burning into ash. "Katten and Daten for me. If it wrinkles, that's Raten. Splits in half is Futin. Turns damp is Sutin." Naruto's eyes lit with interest. "Mind if I try?" The man raised a brow. "You've already unlocked your chakra," Naruto smirked. "Last night." He pressed his chakra into the paper. It tore cleanly in two, one half igniting to ash while the other crumpled tight. Naruto studied it with a sly grin. "Fire, wind, and lightning, huh?" Kurama chuckled in his head. "Fire's from me. Your father wielded wind and lightning. Your mother had water and wind, but water clearly doesn't suit you anymore." The shopkeeper gaped. "3 affinities, not even most Jonin have that. What kind of kid are you?" Naruto's grin widened as he picked up his bag. "Trust me, I'm no ordinary kid." And with that, he left for home, ready to begin his training. 6 hours later, Konoha's south gate, Naruto leaned heavily against the wall, drenched in sweat. His weights and shirt lay discarded beside him as his chest heaved for air. Kurama's voice hummed with amusement. "I never thought I'd see you push yourself this hard. Maybe pacing yourself wouldn't hurt him." Naruto smirked faintly, even as exhaustion weighed on him. "I was planning to stop anyway. Time for lunch." Back at his apartment, a second shower washed away the grime of training. Soon after, he sat before a steaming bowl of shrimp ramen. He clapped his hands softly. "Itadakimasu." With calm precision, he broke his chopsticks and began to eat, savoring the flavor while maintaining quiet control. Yet even as he ate, the unease lingered, the sharp feeling of being watched. Someone close, too close. Naruto slurped the last of his noodles and set the bowl down with a quiet sigh. "Something on your mind, Aim?" he asked, tilting his head. Across the counter, Aim stared at him with a puzzled expression. After a few seconds, she leaned forward and asked, "Who are you, and what did you do with the real Naruto?" A small grin tugged at his lips. "I am Naruto. Maybe I've changed a little, but I'm still me." Her brows pinched together. "Then prove it. When's Naruto's birthday?" "October 10th, he answered easily. "And every year, you make me a special bowl with the best ingredients you can find." He closed his eyes and savored another bite. Aim folded her arms. "All right, then. What's his favorite ramen?" "It was miso," he admitted with a thoughtful nod. "But lately, I've been enjoying seafood flavors more." Even after everything that happened, his love for ramen hadn't disappeared, though his preferences had shifted a bit. I'll never understand how you enjoy this food, came the dry voice in his head. Naruto smirked faintly. A swordsman aiming for greatness deserves meals worth remembering. Aime's next test came quickly. And his favorite color? It's orange, Naruto replied without hesitation. Though these days, darker shades feel more natural. He drained the broth and set the empty bowl down with a satisfied sigh. Her expression softened, though confusion lingered. What's going on with you, Naruto? You look different, especially your eyes, and you're calmer than before. Sorry, I can't explain much. It's an S-rank secret. Only the Hokage knows the details. His smile was faint but sincere. What I can say is that nothing bad happened to me. If anything, it's the opposite. He gestured to the counter. Mind making me another shrimp ramen? She studied him for a moment longer before smiling and heading to the kitchen. Coming right up. 30 minutes later, 10 more bowls later, Naruto left the stand and made his way toward the training grounds. His daily routine was strict. Long distance running in the morning, then physical conditioning in the afternoon. He'd also decided to dive into the basics of Fuinjutsu, eventually. Gravity seals and sealing scrolls could push his training even further. But that could wait. Lost in thought about supplies and scrolls, Naruto barely noticed he had arrived until the sharp sound of fist striking wood caught his attention. A boy, about a year older than him, was drilling the academy's basic taijutsu forms against a wooden dummy. His long black hair, tied in a braid, swung with every strike. Each punch and kick came with a loud shout of effort. Naruto watched in silence for a few seconds before speaking. Your form's solid, no wasted movement. You've practiced a lot, haven't you? The boy jolted, nearly jumping out of his skin, then quickly bowed. I didn't hear you approach. Forgive me. Naruto returned the gesture politely. No need to apologize. I should be the one saying sorry for interrupting. His arms folded across his chest. So, tell me, did you train hard to get this far? The dark-haired boy nodded, eyes fixed on the dummy. Taijutsu is the only thing I can rely on. Naruto raised a brow. What do you mean? The boy clenched his fists. I'm in my second year at the academy. During the first year, I was just average. But once chakra training began, it turned out I barely have any, just enough to stay alive. He bit his lip. People like me are supposed to be better suited for medical or illusion techniques, but I can't even perform a simple E rank. His gaze hardened with resolve. So I'll master taijutsu. I'll surpass Neji Hyuga, the prodigy of my class, and prove that even someone like me can stand tall as a ninja. Naruto stared at him, unreadable. Then his head lowered, shoulders shaking. A low chuckle escaped him, growing into a loud, booming laugh. Wahahaha! Naruto threw his head back, still laughing, until he finally looked forward again with a sharp, serious gaze and a small smile. So you're staking everything on taijutsu? That's real ambition. Then remember this, if you want recognition, you'll have to become, he pointed at him. The greatest. The greatest, Naruto nodded firmly. My dream is to become the greatest swordsman in the world. The boy's eyes widened at hearing someone even younger than him speak with such conviction. I don't care how long it takes, Naruto continued, voice steady and fierce. I'll overcome every obstacle and claim that title. But even someone chasing the peak can't walk that road alone. Faces flashed in his mind, figures of allies yet to come. That's why I want to see you become the best taijutsu specialist alive. And when that day comes, I'll call you my friend. Naruto extended his hand. Uzumaki Naruto, future greatest swordsman in the world. The boy's eyes blazed with renewed fire. He grasped Naruto's hand firmly. Rock Lee, future greatest taijutsu specialist in the world, Naruto grinned. Good to meet you, Lee. Now tell me, do you only know the academy basics? Lee nodded, though suspicion flickered in his gaze. Naruto's grin widened. Then let me ask you this, ever heard of the black leg style? 1 year later, Hokage's office. Hiruzen Sarutobi rubbed his temples, trying to ignore the 7-year-old calmly sitting across from him. The stack of papers on his desk was taller than usual, and it was all because of one boy. Do you know what these papers are, Naruto-kun? The Hokage asked after a long breath. Naruto glanced at them and nodded. Paperwork? Correct, to be exact, reports from the academy. Hiruzen's tone sharpened. Do you know how the academy handles absences? Naruto shook his head. No, Hokage-sama. I never paid much attention to things like that. The faintest curve tugged at his lips. When a student skips without excuse, a notice is sent to their family, or to me. Each day missed earns another. The Hokage tapped one small stack. In the past year, 81 warnings were sent out in total. His hand gestured to the massive pile. The rest of these, every single one has your name. Do you know what that means? Naruto's mouth twitched. I think I can guess, Hokage-sama. A vein bulged on Hiruzen's forehead. He slammed his fist onto the desk. It means you skipped 214 days out of 230. And this year, you've already missed the first 3 weeks. His voice boomed through the office. You only showed up for the final exam. I got the top score, Naruto replied with a small, smug grin. That's not the point, Hiruzen roared. The instructors want you expelled, and the council is starting to agree. His face flushed red until he stopped to catch his breath. Naruto leaned back in his chair, completely calm. Sorry if I've caused trouble, but the academy just doesn't have anything left to teach me. The Hokage narrowed his eyes. Explain. I've already gone through every book you gave me. Most of what the academy covers I've mastered. Plus, I've got knowledge from someone far older than this village sealed inside me. My training schedule is far more demanding. His grin widened. Hiruzen sighed. He knew exactly what Naruto meant, his infamous training schedule. A year earlier, after meeting Rock Lee, Naruto had mapped out a 6-year plan, broken into phases. Each year had its own focus. The first had been physical conditioning, survival skills, and foundational taijutsu. The results spoke for themselves. Naruto's strength already outstripped his peers. Now, in his 2nd year, he had begun chasing the skills necessary for his ultimate goal. Kenjutsu training for the past 3 weeks, Naruto had been practicing with nothing more than a plain wooden sword. He hadn't yet settled on a particular style of Kenjutsu. Thanks to Mihawk's memories, he had access to countless techniques, but choosing which path to follow first was not easy. Mihawk himself had risen to the peak by mastering a single sword style. Naruto, however, wanted something different. He aimed to be the strongest, but without confining himself to one approach. That was why he stuck with a Bakken for now. Yoru, Mihawk's famed blade, was on an entirely different level. Naruto's body, while strong for his age, wasn't yet ready to handle such a weapon. Just like Mihawk had once started small before claiming Yoru, Naruto decided to begin with a simple katana's weight and form. Hiruzen let out a tired sigh. Well then, since you've already absorbed everything in those scrolls, I assume you can perform the academy's basic 3 jutsu? Naruto nodded calmly. I know the theory. I can manage the henge and kawarami without much trouble. But the bunshin no jutsu, that one always fails. Kurama tells me it's because of the sheer amount of chakra in my body, from both the fox and my Uzumaki bloodline. The old Hokage hummed knowingly. Your mother struggled with that very same problem. Fortunately, I have an answer. It's not something you need immediately, but when the time comes, I'll show you a special technique created by the Nidaime Hokage. It will solve your issue. A warm smile appeared on his face before he added, My advice is this. Leave the academy for now. Train freely for the next 5 years. When you're ready, I'll personally recommend you for the final exam. That way, we avoid unnecessary obstacles. Naruto thought it over for a moment, then gave a small nod. That works for me. This way I can train as I want. He rose from his chair, bowed respectfully, and walked out. As he strolled through the village streets, his destination was clear, the training grounds. Early mornings usually meant Rock Lee was still at the academy, so Naruto couldn't spar with him. But his sharp ears caught the sound of steel cutting through the air. Curious, he followed the noise until he reached a different training field, one scattered with dummies, sandbags, and trees scarred with countless deep cuts. A sudden blur caught his eye. 3 slashes appeared almost instantly across a dummy's torso. Naruto turned his gaze and spotted the source, a young man sheathing his blade. His brown hair peeked out from beneath a blue bandana, and his dark Jonin jacket confirmed his rank. Impressive, Naruto commented, drawing the man's attention. 3 strikes in a heartbeat, and fast enough I almost missed them. The Jonin raised an eyebrow. Kid, what are you doing here? Shouldn't you be at the academy? Naruto smirked. Let's just say the Hokage and I came to an agreement. You're Hayate Gecko, right? Surprised, Hayate approached. That's right. How do you know me? I asked the Hokage if Konoha had any true swordsmen. I was disappointed to hear there's only one. Sure, Plenty of Jonin and ANBU carry blades or tanto, but most aren't dedicated to the sword. You, however, are different. Same for your student, Yugo Yuzuki. Hate's brows shot up. You've done your homework, but if you want real Kenjutsu, you'll find more in Kiri or Kumo. Their entire training system is built on it. Tell me, though, why are you so focused on this path? His eyes flicked toward the Bakken at Naruto's side, already half-guessing. Naruto's expression turned serious. Simple, I want to master the sword. I already know the basics, but practice against dummies will only take me so far. I need proper guidance, and I was hoping you'd provide it. Hate crouched down to Naruto's level, resting a hand on his head. I admire your interest, but honestly, you're still too young. Maybe in a few years. Before he could finish, the tip of Naruto's Bakken tapped against his forehead protector, knocking his bandana loose. Hate froze, stunned by the boy's sudden burst of speed and precision. Naruto lowered the wooden blade. Still think I'm too young? Hate glanced at his fallen bandana, then back at the boy. Slowly, he exhaled. Maybe you're ready after all. Naruto smirked. Good. Then tell me, could you teach me your style? The Konoharayu, Naruto's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. So that's its name. You cut that dummy 3 times in an instant. Is it a style focused on speed? You're sharp, Hate admitted. That move was Mikazuki no Mai Dance of the Crescent Moon. It relies on speed and deception, using 2 shadow clones alongside the original. Shadow clones? Naruto tilted his head. Hate explained, yes. A special technique developed by the Nidame Hokage. Unlike the standard Bunshin, these clones are solid and can fight, but they split your chakra evenly, which is dangerous if you overuse them. Naruto's mind clicked immediately. So that's the Jutsu Hokage Jiji wanted to show me. Kurama's chuckle echoed in his head. Both your parents used it masterfully, even outside battle, if you know what I mean. Naruto rolled his eyes. He had no patience for Kurama's crude jokes, not now anyway. That sounds like something I can handle, he said aloud. With my chakra reserves, it shouldn't be a problem. Oh, and I'm Naruto Uzumaki. Hate's eyes widened as realization hit. I didn't recognize you. The last time I saw you, you looked completely different. Naruto shrugged. People change. Anyway, back to training. My chakra gives me the edge to use that jutsu, but I still want to learn your style properly. Very well, Hayate said, slipping naturally into the role of teacher. We'll begin with the fundamental katas. Watch closely, then repeat them until you can perform each one flawlessly. Naruto followed him to the center of the clearing, watching intently as Hate moved with deliberate precision. Every strike was aimed at vital areas, neck, heart, liver. This wasn't just a style for cutting or weakening, it was designed to kill cleanly. When Hate finished, he asked, "Did you memorize them all?" Naruto nodded. Good. Now try, don't worry if you can't repeat them perfectly, it usually takes days for someone your age. Days? Naruto thought as he gripped his Bakken. Kurama grinned in his mind. I bet you can't get it perfect in under 2 hours. Naruto smirked back. Challenge accepted. 2 hours later, training ground, a young Kunoichi with long purple hair moved swiftly through the trees, her warm brown eyes scanning for someone. She had been searching for her sensei and secret lover, Hayate. Their relationship had remained hidden, though her friend Anko had figured it out long ago. He said we'd meet at training ground 15 today, she thought. Landing lightly in the clearing, she spotted him standing with his back turned. But her attention quickly shifted to a blonde boy performing the katas of the Konoharayu with practiced precision. Frowning, she pointed. Hayate-kun, who is that? And why is he practicing our katas? Hayate didn't respond. When she turned to him, she saw his wide eyes and stunned expression, speechless at what he had just witnessed. Hayate-kun, the young woman called, snapping her fingers in front of his face until he finally blinked and turned toward her. Oh, Yugo-chan. Sorry, I didn't notice you, he mumbled, rubbing the back of his neck awkwardly. I can tell. Anyway, mind telling me about that boy? Yugo asked, gesturing at the blonde child who was still practicing his forms with unwavering focus. That's Naruto Uzumaki. Starting today, he's my student. He insisted he wanted to learn Kenjutsu, though honestly, I feel like I should be the one taking lessons from him. Hayate replied, his eyes following Naruto's movements with a mix of pride and disbelief. Yugo's eyes widened. Wait, isn't he supposed to be at the academy? He's still enrolled there, And did you just say you could learn from him? He's just a kid. Hate sighed softly. In less than an hour, he mastered every basic kata of the Konoha-ryu style. Look at him, he's already moving on to applying them against shadows. Yugo nearly choked. What? An hour? I needed 2 whole days to memorize all those sequences, she exclaimed, staring at the boy who now glanced at them with a small, knowing smile. I know it sounds impossible, but it's the truth. He's a natural, maybe even in the same league as Uchiha Itachi, Hate admitted, still shocked himself. By then, Naruto had walked over, bowing politely before greeting her. Good morning, Yugo-senpai. I hope my training here won't trouble you. Senpai, she echoed in her head, the title strangely pleasant to hear, despite the intensity in his eyes, which sent an involuntary shiver crawling down her back. She managed a smile. You're not troubling me, Naruto-kun. Actually, it'll be nice to have another training partner besides Hate-kun. If you ever need a sparring partner, you can ask me anytime. Naruto's grin deepened ever so slightly. I'll gladly take you up on that offer, Yugo-senpai. With that, he returned to the training dummies, leaving the 2 swordsmen behind. Yugo, watching his back, couldn't help thinking uneasily, why do I feel like I just invited trouble upon myself? 1 year later, Hokage's office. So there's no room for reconsideration? The Hokage asked, his voice heavy with fatigue as he regarded the ANBU kneeling before him. No, Hokage-sama, my father's resolve is absolute. Nothing can sway him, not even me, the masked young man replied solemnly. Hiruzen let out a long sigh and gazed out the large window behind his desk. I love this village. I've sworn to protect Konoha no matter what. But sometimes, even I must resort to shadows. His tired eyes returned to the ANBU before him. ANBU operative Uchiha Itachi, codename Weasel. The boy stiffened, bracing himself for what he already knew would be his final command. Your last mission is this. You are to eradicate the Uchiha clan entirely. Afterward, you will abandon the village as a missing nin. Your name will be entered into the bingo book, Hiruzen said, each word dragging his heart lower. Itachi remained silent for several moments before speaking, voice steady but hollow. I understand, Hokage-sama, but may I request one favor? What is it? Please allow me to spare Sasuke. He knows nothing of the coup. The Hokage took a slow drag of his pipe, releasing curling rings of smoke into the air. After a pause, he nodded. Very well, you may let your brother live. I'll make sure the truth of this mission never reaches him. Bowing his head, Itachi whispered, Thank you, Hokage-sama, before vanishing into the night with a single silent shunshin. Left alone, Hiruzen turned to the portraits of his predecessors. Hashirama-sama, Tobirama-sama, how I wish you were here to guide me now. 3 hours later, Konoha training grounds, Itachi sat atop a stone, gazing at the rising moon. Soon his clan would be no more, by his own blade. Not entirely his, though. There was another Uchiha involved, though their existence would remain hidden for now. His thoughts shattered when a sudden explosion echoed nearby. Alarmed, he darted toward the source, arriving at a clearing littered with charred training dummies. There a blonde child formed rapid hand seals. Katen, Ryuka no Jutsu! A torrent of fire burst from Naruto's mouth, engulfing another dummy and reducing it to blackened ash. Panting, the boy steadied his breath before preparing again. Itachi recognized him instantly. Naruto, still pushing himself at this hour. 2 years had passed since that fateful night that changed the boy forever. The village knew only his altered appearance, while the Hokage alone understood the truth. Itachi had seen Naruto often, training tirelessly with Hate and Yugo, and quietly admired the boy's relentless drive. If I recall, this year marks his focus on ninjutsu, Itachi thought with a faint smile, recalling Sasuke's eagerness to train after Naruto left the academy. Sasuke had feared being left behind. Perhaps one day you two will become rivals. I only regret I won't live to see it. His smile faded bitterly as he vanished toward the Uchiha compound. What he didn't realize was that Naruto had already sensed his chakra. Remaining silent, Naruto narrowed his eyes, curious about Itachi's intentions. That was definitely Uchiha Itachi. But why is he here? Kurama's voice growled in his mind. Something's off about that one. His chakra reeks of guilt, but not for what he's done, for what he's about to do. Naruto's eyes widened. What could he possibly feel guilty about? Maybe an atrocity he hasn't committed yet, Kurama suggested grimly. Naruto thought of the growing tension between the Uchiha and the rest of Konoha. Increased ANBU patrols, rising conflicts, the village on edge. Kurama, don't tell me if this is about a coup and Itachi's involved. This village will drown in blood, the fox warned darkly. Determined, Naruto raced to his apartment, quickly changing into ANBU-style pants, a hooded jacket, and sandals. In seconds, he was leaping across rooftops toward the Uchiha district, only to notice something strange. No ANBU presence, that's wrong. If Itachi is moving, they'd need multiple squads to counter him. Yet no one's here. Landing at the compound gate, his breath hitched. 4 Uchiha corpses lay with their throats cut, blood soaking the entrance. Ambushed, but not by ANBU. 2 were Chunin, 2 Jonin, too skilled to be caught like this unless the killer was one of their own. A woman's muffled scream pierced the night. So Itachi isn't stopping the coup, he's slaughtering them. Kurama's growl rumbled. I sense only 3 signatures left inside. One is Itachi. The second I don't recognize, but the third, her tone turned venomous. That accursed man. The one who controlled me 8 years ago. Naruto froze. Are you certain? Without a doubt. I'd never forget that foul chakra. Naruto's mind raced. If he nearly destroyed Konoha back then, why would he be here now? Helping Itachi wipe out his own clan? But for what purpose? Kurama's voice was colder than ice. The Uchiha have carried a curse since their beginning. If this is their end, then so be it. What about the children? Do they really deserve such a fate? Naruto asked, his brow creasing in concern. Kurama, however, only scoffed at the sentiment. Sooner or later, even they would fall to corruption, the fox muttered dismissively before adding, that wretch is gone. I can't sense his presence anymore. Only Itachi remains, and there's another figure beside him, someone unfamiliar, though I swear I've felt their presence once before. Naruto's frown deepened. So Itachi's true goal was to wipe out his own clan with help. But who's the person beside him? If they're still alive, then they must be either very strong, or Itachi doesn't plan to kill them. Could it be a relative? Before his thoughts could go further, Kurama's growl thundered in his head. Someone's heading this way fast. Get off the street. Naruto reacted instantly, darting into a narrow alley and pressing himself against the wall, cloaked by shadows. Seconds later, nearly a dozen figures in black cloaks and stark white masks appeared in the street. They didn't speak a word as they fanned out, moving efficiently to collect the fallen bodies of the Uchiha and sealing them into scrolls. From his hiding spot, Naruto arched a brow. ANBU, but what are they doing with those corpses? Then he noticed their masks more carefully. Strange, those designs aren't the standard masks I've seen before. Once the bodies were secured, the group gathered again. The leader glanced over his team. Sector 4 is clear. 3 of you deliver the scrolls to Danzo-sama. The rest, move on to Sector 5. If you encounter the Hokage's ANBU, disperse and retreat. Do not engage. The squad nodded in unison. 3 disappeared toward the heart of the village while the others advanced down the street. Naruto kept to the alleys, continuing his pursuit of Itachi while piecing the puzzle together. So they aren't working under the Hokage, they answer to Danzo. That explains a lot, but it doesn't sit right with me. His thoughts were cut short when 2 more masked operatives suddenly blocked his path. Damn it, Kit, Kurama snarled. I can't keep warning you every time. Pay better attention. Naruto inclined his head slightly, his hood shadowing his eyes. You're right, I'll stay sharp, he muttered quietly. Luckily, the 2 newcomers hadn't recognized him yet. A survivor? One of them questioned flatly. The other assessed him coldly. The mission parameters allow this. The youngest Uchiha with a Sharingan is about 11. This one's too young to have awakened it. We'll capture him and deliver him to Danzo-sama. Neither drew a weapon, assuming he was just a helpless child. But Naruto had already decided. His true objective lay deeper within the compound, where Itachi was, and time was slipping. Without hesitation, he pressed chakra into the seals on his wrists. With a soft puff of smoke, 2 short blades materialized in his hands, gripped in reverse. He rolled his wrists, angling the wakizashi skyward. The masked agents closed in. But when Naruto finally lifted his gaze, 2 piercing yellow eyes froze them in place. He inhaled slowly, his voice almost a whisper. Nitoryu, in a flash, Naruto surged forward, spinning with terrifying precision. His blades swept out, slicing the air into deadly arcs. Saikuru! The unleashed wind blades tore through the operatives like paper, ripping flesh and throats before they could react. Their bodies lifted, lifeless, into the air. Naruto didn't even pause, already sprinting onward as his voice trailed back to them. Sorry, I don't have time to waste. 30 minutes later, rooftop near Konoha's outer wall, an ANBU landed silently behind another masked figure standing on the rooftop. Unlike the ANBU, this one wore only a blue cloak and an orange spiral-patterned mask with a single eye hole. The cloaked figure turned. It's finished. He stopped briefly, then dismissed the thought. Never mind. Shall we go? Go ahead, the black-haired ANBU replied. I need to confirm things with Konoha's elders. The masked man studied him for a moment before vanishing into a swirling distortion of space, leaving the ANBU alone. Moments later, the ANBU collapsed to his knees, trembling, soft sobs escaping behind the mask as tears dripped onto the roof tiles. Why? The word echoed like thunder in his ears. Snapping to attention, he spun around and froze. Itachi Uchiha, for only the third time in his life, felt genuine fear seize his heart. The first had been during the Nine-Tails rampage, when the beast's malevolent aura nearly crushed him despite his iron discipline. Only his love for Sasuke had steadied him. The second had come from his own father, when he used his Mangekyo to reveal a possible future where Fugaku manipulated the Kyuubi to destroy the village again. Even knowing it was just Genjutsu, the vision had terrified him. And now, the third time came from a boy with piercing golden eyes that stripped away every defense. He had met Naruto before, had seen warmth in those eyes despite their predator's edge. But now, that warmth was gone. What remained was nothing but icy precision, sharper than any blade. And Naruto hadn't even unleashed his killing intent. I asked you why, Naruto repeated, his voice steady, gaze unflinching. Itachi did not retreat. His tone remained calm, though unease twisted inside him. My clan planned a coup. If I hadn't acted, the village would have drowned in civil war. Naruto's eyes narrowed. That's not what I'm asking. I want to know why you allied yourself with the man responsible for my parents' deaths. Itachi stiffened. What do you mean? Tell me, Naruto pressed, tilting his head. What do you know of the night the Nine-Tails was released? Don't worry about classified details, I already know. Itachi hesitated, then answered. That night, your mother was giving birth. An ANBU from my clan told me many guards were assigned to protect her. Something went wrong, and the Nine-Tails broke free. Witnesses swore they saw the beast's eyes bearing the Sharingan. From that moment, suspicion fell on my clan, fueling the seeds of rebellion. That's all I know. Naruto exhaled softly. You're not wrong, but you're missing the crucial parts. His gaze drifted up to the moon. While I was being born, a masked man killed the guards by Wako-sama and her assistant. He kidnapped me, forcing my father to act. In saving me, my mother was left vulnerable, and he used that chance to unleash the Kyuubi. His eyes sharpened again as they locked onto Itachi. You know how it ended, but what you don't know is that the man who kidnapped me is the same one who aided you in your clan's slaughter. Itachi's chest tightened. He had long suspected that masked figure was Madara Uchiha, somehow still alive. But now, knowing that this man orchestrated both tragedies, guilt weighed on him like stone. How can you be sure? Naruto tapped his stomach. Kurama recognized him, the same chakra, the same control. I see. Itachi's gaze fell to the roof before meeting Naruto's once more. Do you hate me for this? Naruto shook his head. Not exactly. I can't forgive you for siding with that man, but I believe if you had known the truth, you'd never have agreed to his terms. His voice softened with a sigh. So, what now? He invited me to his group. Akatsuki, Itachi admitted. I intend to join, but not for his reasons. Naruto tilted his head. Then why? To kill him, Itachi said simply. His Sharingan spun behind the mask. When I was younger, I met your mother. She taught me, guided me, she was kind. Her death wounded my own mother deeply. That masked man is to blame, and I won't rest until he's gone. Naruto's response was instant. I can't allow that. He's mine to kill, not yours. Itachi blinked, caught off guard. He's stronger than me, Naruto-kun, stronger than most alive. Do you truly believe you can defeat him? Not yet. Right now, I could handle a chunin without much difficulty, but a jonin would still be out of my reach. That puts that man far beyond my current strength, but I'll surpass these limits. I'll grow stronger, far stronger than I am now, and when the time comes, I'll cut him down. After all, I'm going to become the greatest swordsman in the world, and defeating him will be one of the milestones on that path. Naruto's eyes burned with determination as he turned his back on Itachi, ready to walk away. Before you go, may I ask something of you? Naruto paused mid-step, his head tilting slightly without looking back. Can you protect my younger brother? Itachi's voice was calm, though edged with hidden emotion. He wasn't part of the clan's plans, so I spared him. The Hokage has already sworn to keep the truth from him, and I want it to remain that way. Naruto narrowed his eyes. If you do this, he'll grow up despising you. His life will revolve around revenge. I know, but it doesn't matter. If it means his survival, I'll gladly become his enemy. My only wish is that he grows strong enough to carry the Uchiha name forward, despite the shadows of our past. Itachi's faint smile disappeared beneath his mask. Maybe one day things will change, but until then, I'll bear the hatred alone. No way, don't tell me you actually want me to babysit an Uchiha brat, Naruto sighed. I'll think about it. No promises. That's all I ask. Itachi gave a small nod. Goodbye, Naruto-kun, perhaps our paths will cross again. With that, he vanished in a blur toward the Hokage Tower. You can't be serious about watching over his little brother. Kurama's voice rumbled in Naruto's mind. I told him the truth. I'll do what I can, but that doesn't mean I'll throw my life away for him, Naruto replied, leaping down into the streets below. What do you make of Itachi's warning about that masked man and his group? If Itachi was approached, then this Akatsuki must be filled with monsters, shinobi at least at his level, maybe stronger. Naruto smirked faintly. Which only means I need to grow strong enough to face them, Kurama growled. And yet you still refuse to use the shadow clone jutsu. It would multiply your training results instantly. Because Mihawk didn't reach the top by taking shortcuts. If I want to surpass him, I need to walk the hard road. Even my parents didn't rely on that jutsu for training. Naruto shrugged as he bounded across rooftops. Fine. Just don't start whining when those human drills knock you flat again. Kurama snorted, drifting back into slumber. Naruto shook his head, a quiet grin forming. You'll see, Kurama. You'll see. 1 year later, Naruto's apartment. The knock on the door came as Naruto sat reading a scroll, though his sensory ability had already told him who it was. Without looking up, he rose and opened the door. Good morning, Hokage-sama. Would you like something to drink? Hiruzen stepped inside with a warm smile, trailed discreetly by 2 masked ANBU, though Naruto had sensed them long ago. Your perception never ceases to amaze me, Naruto-kun, the old Hokage said kindly. It's hard not to notice when someone with your chakra enters my range, Naruto replied, shutting the door. Now about that drink. You do realize I can't exactly drink so early in the morning, right? Hiruzen raised a brow. Naruto just gave him a flat look. All right, fine. A glass of red wine. From behind their masks, the 2 ANBU audibly smacked their foreheads. Naruto chuckled, heading into the kitchen. Minutes later, he returned with 2 glasses and a bottle, setting them down on the low table. Hiruzen took a seat opposite Naruto and accepted the poured glass, sipping thoughtfully. Not bad at all. I still don't know how you managed to find these vintages, the Hokage remarked. You just need to know the right places to look, Naruto grinned, then grew serious. But you didn't come here just for wine. What's the matter? The old man's smile faded. Last night, a team returned from the land of rice fields. Their mission was to infiltrate one of Orochimaru's abandoned laboratories and collect any intelligence on his experiments. But Orochimaru was always meticulous. He left behind traps. Hiruzen sighed heavily. Out of 3 Jonin and 4 Chunin, only 1 returned alive. Naruto's brows furrowed. That bad? Yes, the lone survivor, Hayate Gecko, is barely hanging on in the hospital right now. 3 hours later, Konoha Hospital. Maybe I should have brought something else, Naruto thought, balancing a bouquet of flowers in one hand and a bag holding 3 bottles of red wine in the other. They'll do fine, Kurama rumbled. Hayate isn't dead, and if the old monkey's right, he'll be back in action in a few months. Besides, he's one of the few who treats you like a person. Fair point. After weaving through the halls, Naruto arrived at the right room. Without knocking, he pushed the door open. All right, Hayate-kun, open wide and say, Aya Tilda. Aya, there you go. Naruto blinked at the scene before him, Hayate, pale but smiling, with Yugao perched on his lap feeding him apple slices. Naruto coughed loudly into his hand to get their attention. Their faces turned scarlet instantly. If you want, I can fetch you some condoms from the pharmacy, though I doubt the nurses would approve, Naruto teased with a smirk. Naruto, they both shouted, only for a trio of nurses to glare daggers at them for disturbing the quiet. Naruto placed the flowers in a vase and set the wine down with a chuckle. Rough mission, huh? I'm sorry about your team. Hayate gave a weak smile between coughs. Thanks, I only survived because I was closest to the exit. Orochimaru left a poison gas trap, and even I inhaled some. The doctors say my lungs are damaged beyond repair. I'll live with this cough until they find a cure. You still plan to serve as a shinobi? Naruto asked, catching the worry in Yugao's eyes. Of course. I'll have to limit certain missions, but a cough won't end my career, Hayate nodded, before another fit struck him. Naruto frowned. That's not just a simple cough. Just then, a Chunin poked his head in. Yuzuki-san, the academy needs you. Your niece has been called to the headmaster's office again. Yugao groaned. Not again, third time this year. She gave Hayate an apologetic look. I'll be back soon. Go on, Hayate said kindly. Tell her I said hello. As she left, Naruto raised a brow. What was that about? Ah, you don't know, Hayate coughed. Her niece is a bit of a handful, got suspended once for beating up a classmate. Naruto sighed. They're supposed to be training to be ninja, and she's starting fights in the academy. Her parents died during the Ninetales attack. Yugao did her best to raise her, but duty kept her away. The girl grew up angry and stubborn, always needing to be on top. Naruto shook his head, then grinned mischievously as he reached the door. So, still no condoms for you then? Hayate flushed crimson. Na cough cough Naruto. The nurses hissed, quiet, this is a hospital. Naruto chuckled on his way out. Good luck with your recovery, Hayate-sensei. Later, walking past the Uchiha compound, Naruto couldn't help but think back to his encounter with Itachi a year earlier. Just as Kurama predicted, Sasuke had turned into a brooding loner, never smiling, never relaxing, just drowning himself in training and school. He was the top student in the academy, only rivaled in bookwork by Haruno Sakura. To outsiders, Sasuke looked like a prodigy, but Naruto knew his inner struggles ran far deeper. Of course, because it made perfect sense that a kid who hadn't even finished the academy could stand toe-to-toe with one of the strongest shinobi in the village. The next issue was at the academy itself. Some teachers tried to stay fair, but others had started to favor the young Uchiha, perhaps hoping he'd remember their support when he grew stronger. But by making things easier for him, they were unintentionally holding him back, giving him shallow challenges that wouldn't push him forward. Behind all that was his ever-present crowd of fangirls, each one so desperate for his attention that they ignored their own training just to chase after him. The only exception was the Hyuga heiress. She wasn't a fangirl, though her crippling shyness and the suffocating pressure of her clan weighed on her every day. Her life wasn't enviable either. But the biggest problem wasn't the academy or the girls. It was Sasuke himself. After the massacre, the once social boy had closed himself off completely. He used to be open to friendships, but now, his whole existence revolved around vengeance and getting stronger. He spent nearly every moment training alone in the silent remains of his clan's compound. Naruto could already picture what kind of teammate Sasuke would become, and to be honest, he wasn't impressed. Since Itachi wanted his brother to grow stronger, Naruto had quietly left some scrolls containing fire-style techniques for Sasuke. The boy only had access to two basic ones, the Great Fireball and the Phoenix Flower. The clan's jutsu archives were locked away, sealed so that only a Sharingan user could access them. Naruto sighed as he stepped into the empty compound, weaving through the quiet streets until he reached the main house, once belonging to the head family. Now it served as the residence of the last surviving Uchiha. He didn't enter. Instead, he circled around to the training yard where a young boy with black hair was hard at work. Katen. Gakakyu no Jutsu? A sphere of fire roared forward, smashing into a wooden dummy and reducing it to ash. Itachi won't even blink at that. You'll need more than that to face him, Naruto said coolly, though in his mind he added, I doubt he's even looked at the scrolls I left. Sasuke whipped around, kunai in hand, eyes narrowed with anger and alarm. Who are you? But when his gaze met Naruto's uninterested blue eyes, his hostility gave way to unease. Just someone passing by, but my advice stands. If you want revenge, you'll need more than a single fireball, Naruto replied, eyes drifting over the ruined dummy. Sasuke glared. And how would you know? Naruto's look all but said, are you kidding me? Because he's an Uchiha like you. He knows every flaw in that jutsu. Not to mention, he was one of the village's strongest shinobi. He could probably eat that fireball without moving an inch. Do I need to keep going? Sasuke's fists clenched until his knuckles turned white. Why are you even here, just to mock me? I know who you are, you're that dropout from the academy. Yeah, that's me. Uzumaki Naruto, he answered, folding his arms across his chest. And no, I'm not here to laugh at you. I'm trying to help. Expanding your skills will get you further than spamming the same move over and over. As if you'd know anything about jutsu. You quit the academy, Sasuke snapped. That's true, so how about we test it, a little spar? No holding back, first one to land a hit wins. Naruto's smirk was calm as he strolled to the other side of the training field. Sasuke studied him carefully before agreeing. If I win, you leave me alone. Deal. But if I win, you'll at least try to learn a new jutsu, Naruto countered. Sasuke gave a sharp nod, then both of them moved through hand seals. Katen, Gakikyu no Jutsu, they shouted together. But as soon as Naruto unleashed his fireball, he chained another set of signs. Futen, Daitapa. A violent gust of wind fused with his flames, creating a massive inferno that swallowed Sasuke's weaker fireball and roared straight toward him. Sasuke barely leapt aside, but not fast enough. The flames scorched his left foot, and he stumbled in pain. Naruto cut off the jutsu and approached. See, two simple C-rank jutsu, combined, create something far more devastating. Better than just throwing a single fireball, right? Sasuke bit back his words, glaring, but the destruction left behind was undeniable. There's more to strength than ninjutsu alone, Naruto continued. What do you mean? Sasuke asked, catching a wooden practice sword Naruto tossed at him. The blonde held one of his own and without warning lunged forward. His slash hit Sasuke with brutal force, launching him across the yard. Coughing up spit mixed with blood, Sasuke struggled to breathe. But Naruto was already standing over him, wooden blade pointed at his throat. This is what I mean, Naruto said coldly, pulling the blade back. Your brother was ANBU. He wielded swords and knives just as well as jutsu. Fireballs alone won't save you. Why are you telling me this? Sasuke wheezed. Let's just say I promised someone I would, Naruto replied, turning his back. I'll come back in a week. Show me you've made progress. Sasuke's eyes followed him until he vanished. With sheer willpower, he dragged himself inside, using the bakken like a crutch. On the table lay 3 scrolls, each marked with the kanji for fire. For a moment, Sasuke stared at them, then shifted his gaze to a family photo. His eyes locked on his brother's face, burning with hate. Without hesitation, he snatched one scroll and limped back out. There would be no rest, no first aid, only training. Come in, Naruto-kun, boomed the voice of Hiruzen Sarutobi, thick with a hint of exhaustion. Naruto could almost feel the stress carried in his words. Waving briefly at the secretary outside, the boy pushed open the office doors. Inside, much to his hidden amusement, the third Hokage was still locked in a losing battle against his greatest foe, paperwork. They call him the professor, yet he hasn't once thought about using Kage Bunshin to get through all that. Naruto mused with a smirk as he slid into the chair across the desk. Ah, Naruto-kun, what brings you here? Hiruzen greeted warmly, then leaned closer and whispered with mock desperation. Please, Suzuka-chan confiscated my Ika book. This desk is going to be the death of me, Naruto chuckled. Sorry, Hokage-sama, but that woman's scarier than me. You're on your own with that one. Curse the day I accepted this hat, Hiruzen muttered with a sigh, though his smile returned quickly. So what can I actually do for you? Training supplies, guidance? No, Hokage-sama, my training's going fine, Naruto replied, thinking back to his current focus, the adamantine sealing chains. His training plan had been carefully structured over the years. The first year dedicated to hardening his body through survival drills and taijutsu, the second to kenjutsu, and the third to ninjutsu. This fourth year, however, was dedicated entirely to Fuinjutsu, the art his parents were renowned for. Naruto had already grasped the fundamentals, reaching the same level as Hiruzen himself. Out of 10 levels, he was halfway to becoming a true seal master. Now, as his 11th birthday approached, Naruto had set his sights on his mother's legendary technique, the adamantine sealing chains. Kurama had once told him they weren't a bloodline trait as many believed, but an advanced form of sealing only the Uzumaki clan could manifest, though not every member succeeded. Kushina had been the first after Uzumaki Mido, wife of the first Hokage. Still, for Naruto, progress was slow. He knew it would take months of work, maybe longer, but he had an entire year to push himself. "I see," Hiruzen said, nodding thoughtfully. "Then what is it you need?" Naruto folded his arms. "When I was at the hospital, I overheard 2 nurses talking. They mentioned a girl whose illusions were dangerous enough to kill a doctor. It might have sounded like an exaggeration, but I know of the Kurama clan and their unique Kekkei Genkai. Do you happen to know who they meant?" The Hokage's expression turned serious. After dismissing the ANBU and locking the office with privacy seals, he sighed heavily. Yes, they were speaking of Yakumo Kurama, the clan heiress. Her father was head of the family, but he and his wife perished in a fire 2 years ago. Yakumo's case, however, is far more complicated. Naruto's eyes widened slightly. Hearing this piqued his curiosity, especially since he had always believed himself to be the only one carrying a burden like the Kyuubi. "You, Naruto, are a Jinchuriki. Yakumo, however, struggles with something different," Hiruzen explained gravely. "She suffers from a split self. Yakumo is kind, quiet, and gentle, but inside her dwells something called Ido, a malevolent force that takes control of her body and wields her powers to cause destruction." He leaned back with a long exhale. "Years ago, her parents begged me for a tutor. Her body was frail, too weak for shinobi life, but her talent for genjutsu was undeniable. Her father wished to restore the Kurama clan's lost glory, and he truly loved her. He believed her illusions could bring them honor again. Yakumo herself had been inspired by Rock Lee. Just as he had only taijutsu, she had only genjutsu. She wanted to prove she could stand as a ninja through her strength alone. "Another person blinded by power and pride?" Naruto asked flatly. "Partially, yes, but it came from love, too," Hiruzen admitted. "I placed Yakumo under Kurenai Yuhai's care, hoping the newly promoted Jonin would grow through guiding a single student. Unfortunately, Kurenai lacked the experience and tried persuading Yakumo to abandon her dream. Yakumo refused. In desperation, Kurenai sealed her powers. But the Ido broke through, causing the fire that killed Yakumo's parents and other clan members. Since then she has been confined to her clan's estate, visited only by doctors, though she often lashes out, driving them away." Naruto tilted his head, fascinated. "So, could I meet her?" Hiruzen frowned. "Naruto, that would be dangerous. She's unstable, and although I would like to help, I'll tell you the secret to defeating paperwork. Permanently." Naruto's sly grin made Hiruzen drop his pipe in shock. "Don't joke about that. I'm serious." The Hokage leaned forward, eyes trembling. "You mean forever?" "Forever," Naruto confirmed. "Deal," Hiruzen bellowed, snatching up a scroll. In moments, he scribbled a note and handed it over. "Show this to the ANBU and Kurama clan guards. They'll let you through. Now tell me the secret." Naruto smirked, taking the scroll as he headed for the door. "Simple. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu." Silence followed him out. Then the Hokage's triumphant laugh echoed through the entire tower. "Finally, I've conquered the beast. Beat you to it, Anoki." Tsuchikage's office, a thunderous sneeze sent every paper on Anoki's desk flying. "Damn it! Of all the times," the short, grumpy man shouted. "Now I'll be sorting these for hours." The door creaked open, revealing a smirking young girl with dark hair. "What's wrong, old man? Losing your touch? Maybe it's time to think about a successor." "Out, Kuretsuchi!" Anoki roared, hurling a paperweight that she dodged with ease, laughter trailing as she disappeared down the hall. "Kids these days," the Tsuchikage muttered, staring at the chaos on his desk. "Why does it feel like I just lost to someone?" Konoha Naruto walked through the quieter side of the village, soon reaching the secluded Kurama compound. The place felt different from the other clan estates, silent, almost lifeless. Only a few guards and hidden ANBU lingered nearby. No wonder Yakumo remained isolated after 2 years. An older man with light brown hair intercepted him. "Who are you? What business do you have here?" Naruto bowed slightly. "Uzumaki Naruto, I'm here to see Kurama Yakumo. I have authorization from the Hokage." He handed over the scroll. The man read it, brows lifting in surprise, then gave a small nod. "Very well, I'm Unkai, Yakumo's uncle. I'll take you to her, though I don't know why you want to see the girl. Follow me." They walked through a dim corridor until they reached a wooden double door. Unkai knocked gently. "Yakumo, someone has come to see you." He pushed it open and gave Naruto a stern glance. "You may enter, but be cautious. Avoid speaking of her old tutor or her dream of becoming a ninja." Naruto nodded, stepping inside as the door shut behind him. The room was dark, filled with paintings scattered across easels and walls. At first, he nearly missed the slim figure seated in the center of the room, a girl, quiet and withdrawn. "Who are you?" the girl asked softly, her tone calm yet filled with curiosity as her eyes studied him. "My name is Naruto Uzumaki. It's a pleasure to meet you, Yakumo-san." Naruto replied politely, bowing before glancing at the canvases around them. "These paintings, are they all your work?" Yakumo stayed silent for a brief moment, then turned back toward the unfinished piece in front of her. "Yes, painting is the only thing I can do to pass time and to forget certain things." Naruto tilted his head. "So you've chosen art over being a shinobi?" he asked, gently stopping her hand as it hovered close to the canvas. Her eyes snapped toward him, sharp and defensive. "I haven't given up on becoming a ninja. That choice was stolen from me." "I know your story," Naruto answered in a calm, steady voice. "And while it may seem cruel, Kurenai-sensei and the Hokage only did what they believed necessary for the village's safety. The thing inside you, your Ito, it's dangerous. It caused your parents' deaths." Yakumo's glare deepened. "That's not true. It wasn't me, it was them. The Hokage ordered my parents' deaths because he thought I was a threat. He didn't want me to become a shinobi." Naruto's gaze sharpened. "Are you absolutely certain of that?" "Yes," she insisted. "Really sure." His narrowed eyes carried such weight that she flinched. "Why, yes, they're afraid of my power. The Ito is my clan's Kekkei Genkai. That's why it was sealed away." "Then answer this," Naruto pressed, crossing his arms. "If your Ito was already sealed, why did the fire that killed your parents happen after the ritual? What reason would there have been to kill them once your power was suppressed?" Yakumo clenched her teeth. "They wanted to keep me from being a ninja, so he had them killed." "If you're so certain," Naruto said evenly, "then let me take a look at the seal placed on you. I've studied Fuinjutsu for a while. I might be able to understand what was done to your body." She hesitated, something whispering in the back of her mind, but she quickly shook it off. "Fine, but only for a moment. It's on my neck." Turning around, she lowered the collar of her pink kimono just enough to reveal the mark. Naruto leaned in, eyes narrowing at the black characters etched into her skin. His expression grew serious. "This isn't a normal seal," he thought. "It looks like one designed to suppress chakra, but it's been altered. The problem is, it blocks her abilities but not the consciousness of her Ito. That's why it's wrong." "This seal is faulty," Naruto finally said aloud. Yakumo blinked at him. "Wrong, what do you mean?" "It seals your strength but not the Ito itself. The Ito is a part of your consciousness, a twisted entity with its own will, similar to a Biju in a Jinchuriki. With this seal, it can still influence you, maybe even use your body." "But it hasn't appeared since that day," Yakumo protested, clutching her neck. "And how can you be sure? It may already be influencing you, even erasing memories." Naruto's expression softened. "If you let me, I'll help. I've practiced Fuinjutsu enough to craft a seal that might actually work." She hesitated, then whispered, "Why would you help someone like me?" Naruto smiled faintly. "Because I was in your shoes once. Everyone thought I didn't belong, that I could never become a ninja. But someone believed in me, and now I have a path forward. I want you to have that chance too." Her eyes widened slightly. Do you really think I can still be a ninja?" Her voice trembled, weighed down by years of crushed dreams and disappointments. "Not through the usual path," Naruto admitted, which made her flinch. But then his grin returned. "But who said I follow the usual path? Now let's get to work. Do you have any ink?" An hour later, all set. Naruto wiped his hands, eyeing the intricate three-ring seal drawn across the floor. Yakumo looked curiously at the markings. "What is this?" she asked. "A three-stage seal. The first suppresses outside interference so the Edo can't seize control. The second links our minds. The third breaks the old seal on your body." He gave her a confident look. "Then you'll face your Edo directly. Don't worry, I'll be right there." Nervously, Yakumo followed his lead and sat opposite him in the center of the array. Naruto held out his hand. "Take my hand, form a half-ram seal with the other, and push your chakra into the design when you're ready." Yakumo closed her eyes, nodded, and together they channeled their chakra. When she opened her eyes again, she was no longer in her room but on a strange shoreline. A dark forest loomed nearby, black trees swaying unnaturally. Floating rocks hovered in the air, some of them holding her paintings. "This is my mindscape," Naruto said behind her. "But those floating stones and that sky there from your side." "The sky," Yakumo looked up and gasped. The heavens were painted in chaotic hues of violet, red, black, and blue. Then a voice slithered from the forest. "Yakumo, you don't need him. End this and I'll help you instead." Her blood ran cold. From the shadows stepped a figure that looked like her twisted reflection, her Edo. Naruto regarded the creature with unimpressed eyes. "So this is your darker half." The Edo smirked, fangs flashing. "Not dark necessary. I've always been the strength she needed. That woman only feared me, so she sealed me away." Naruto's grin was sharp. "If she sealed you, then why does the seal not hold?" Yakumo gasped, realization striking her. "The seal wasn't meant to stop you, it wasn't right, just like Naruto said." Naruto folded his arms. "And in that weakness, you manipulated Yakumo, used her, and her parents paid the price." The Edo snarled. "They were the ones who betrayed us. I showed Yakumo her true power that day, and she unleashed it." Yakumo's eyes widened. "The fire, it was you." Before the Edo could respond, a deep rumble shook the ground. A massive shadow rose behind it, 9 tails swaying like mountains. Kurama's red eyes gleamed with menace. "So you're the parasite holding her clan back," the fox growled with a wicked grin. "You're nothing but a nuisance, and nuisances get crushed." Before the Edo could move, Kurama's massive paw came crashing down, shattering the floating rocks and sending shockwaves through the mindscape. Naruto shielded himself with chakra while Yakumo was hurled into the ocean. "Thanks, Kurama," Naruto called out, "but this fight belongs to Yakumo." Kurama snorted. "HMPH, fine. I'll rest." With a swirl of chakra, the fox vanished into his human form and retreated. Naruto rushed to Yakumo, helping her out of the water. "You all right?" "Why, yeah," she coughed, still shaken. "That was the 9 tails. She's sleeping now. Don't worry," Naruto reassured, then pointed at the crater ahead. "But there's something only you can finish." Together they approached the broken form of the Edo, its body twisted and teeth shattered. Yakumo's trembling hand slipped into her sleeve, pulling out a kunai she had always kept hidden. Her steps were heavy, but this time, she knew what she had to do. The Edo rasped, its eerie eyes fixed on the trembling girl. "I can't help you. I'm the only one who understands. You need me." "You liar," Yakumo snapped, her grip on her kunai tightening as she shifted it into a reverse hold. "If you truly wanted to help me, you wouldn't have murdered my parents." Her voice cracked with rage but burned with determination. "I may be weak, I've always been weak. But I can grow stronger, without you." With one swift thrust, Yakumo drove her kunai straight into the creature's forehead. A deafening screech tore through the air as the demon's skin split grotesquely, peeling apart to reveal a second face, smooth and featureless except for 2 blazing red eyes on a mask of black and blue. The Edo bellowed in fury, its visage expanding, lunging as if to swallow her whole. But before it could reach her, its form unraveled, dissipating into nothingness. Shaking, Yakumo collapsed to her knees. Her chest heaved as she clutched the blood-stained kunai. From behind, a warm hand pressed against her shoulder. "You did well," Naruto said quietly. "Thank you," Yakumo whispered, managing a weary smile that quickly faded. Her expression clouded with guilt. "I'm such a fool." Naruto tilted his head, curious. "For years, I hated the Hokage," she admitted bitterly. "I blamed him with all my heart, believing he caused my parents' deaths. But it was me. I was the one who killed them." "Wrong," Naruto cut in firmly, startling her. "It wasn't you. It was the Edo. You were vulnerable, broken after what happened with your tutor, and that weakness allowed the Edo to surface. But it was never your fault." Yakumo lowered her eyes, unsure whether to believe him, But his next words pulled her attention. "So," Naruto asked evenly, "do you still want to become a kunoichi?" She blinked. "What?" I said, "Do you still want to be a kunoichi?" His voice was calm, steady. "You can't take the same path as others, not with your circumstances. But that doesn't mean there isn't a way. If you want, I can help. I'll even ask the Hokage to place you on my team when we graduate. You may have missed years of the academy, but with the right training, you can still become a capable shinobi. You'll surpass those fangirls who spend their time chasing after boys instead of training." Her heart skipped. Hope lit her eyes. "Would you really help me?" "Of course," Naruto said, gently helping her stand. "Why wouldn't I? You might not know, but years ago I met Rock Lee. I pushed him to keep going, even when he was mocked. Later, Gai-sensei took him under his wing, and now Lee's one of the most dedicated taijutsu fighters in the world. If he could grow stronger, so can you." Yakumo's lips trembled as tears welled in her eyes. She nodded, clinging to his words like lifelines. But just as they stepped out of the crater, a cascade of weapons suddenly clattered down around them, making Yakumo flinch. Now, Naruto turned back to her, eyes gleaming. "Choose." What?" she stammered. "Pick a weapon." Naruto gestured to the pile. "Your illusions are powerful, but your body is frail. Taijutsu isn't your strength, but with a weapon, I can forge your skills while building your stamina. Until we find a proper style that fits you." She frowned slightly but nodded, her gaze drifting across the scattered arsenal swords, spears, scythes, shields, and more. Her eyes lingered on one blade in particular. It wasn't curved like a katana. Instead, its straight, slender, double-edged blade gleamed faintly. The guard was a cup of metal, with a protective bar running down from the crosspiece. Drawn to it as if by instinct, Yakumo wrapped her fingers around the hilt. She gasped softly. The weapon was lighter than she'd expected. "A rapier," Naruto said knowingly. "Elegant, precise, quick. Perfect for speed and agility over brute strength." "A rapier," Yakumo repeated, staring at it in awe. I like this one. I can't explain it, but it feels right." "That's normal. Weapons call to their wielder." Naruto smirked, then formed a hand seal. Chakra surged, and the battlefield dissolved into light. When Yakumo opened her eyes again, she was standing back in her room. Naruto handed her a set of training weights. "We start with your body. Wear these every day. Don't remove them, not for sleeping, not even bathing. They're sealed weights. Channel chakra into them and they'll grow heavier as you improve." Yakumo clutched them with trembling hands. "Thank you for everything." Naruto paused at the door, a smile tugging at his lips. "Don't thank me yet. Starting tomorrow, gratitude will be the last thing on your mind." His smile twisted into something far more mischievous. Despite herself, Yakumo shivered. "Why, do I have a bad feeling about that?" 1 year and several months later, Konoha Academy graduation day, a young girl walked toward the academy with steady steps. Her brown hair swayed as her warm eyes met familiar faces along the way, returning greetings with gentle smiles. Yakumo still couldn't believe it. She had reached the day of her graduation exam. Almost 2 years ago, she had been a fragile recluse, weak, pale, hopeless. Now she stood among the strongest of her peers, and all because one stubborn blonde boy had pulled her into the light. Naruto had kept his promise. For months, he drilled her relentlessly, starting with physical conditioning until her frail body toughened. From there, he had guided her through ninjutsu, taijutsu, even sealing arts. Their kenjutsu training had been carried out in their shared mindscape, since they didn't have a real rapier. Every step had been grueling, but every step had changed her. Now her complexion glowed with health. Her body bore lean muscle from endless hours of training. She wore a tan kimono shirt with short sleeves over a red fishnet top, black shorts, and gray knee-high boots. Her forearms were protected by gray guards reminiscent of ANBU armor. Sealed storage arrays, drawn by Naruto himself, hid on her palms, allowing her to summon kunai and shuriken at will. Leaning against the academy wall, Yakumo waited for Naruto, who was retrieving a document from the Hokage. She smiled faintly, remembering the old man. After she'd apologized for her misplaced hatred, Hiruzen had become like a grandfather to her, even helping with her clan studies. He had also made her and Naruto spar him in training, though the score remained 89-0. And the 0 was Naruto. Yakumo chuckled at the thought, until a sudden dust cloud caught her attention. She instinctively leapt up the academy wall, chakra sticking her to the stone, as a green-clad boy skidded to a halt below. "Good morning, Yakumo-san," Rock Lee declared, flashing a blinding smile. "I see you are prepared for this most youthful exam." Yakumo landed gracefully, smiling back. "Good morning, Lee. Yes, I'm just waiting for Naruto. He went to get something from the Hokage." "Yash. My rival of flame and spirit will surely triumph today, and so will you, my equally youthful female rival," Lee exclaimed with fiery determination. Yakumo's sweat dropped. Thanks, Lee. I appreciate the encouragement." Ever since training together, Lee had dubbed Naruto his male rival and Yakumo his female rival. When she'd asked why, Naruto had simply whispered, "Don't bother asking. It's too much trouble." Perhaps it was her own fault. She had once declared, inspired by Naruto's dream of becoming the greatest swordsman, that she would one day be the strongest genjutsu specialist in the world. That bold statement had prompted an over-the-top speech from Lee and his mentor, Guy, complete with an illusionary sunset scene that was traumatizing, to say the least. "Yash, I must go join my team for our mission," Lee shouted, striking his nice guy pose before dashing off, leaving another cloud of dust in his wake. Yakumo sighed, amused, until movement at the edge of the courtyard caught her eye. A familiar figure entered, and her breath hitched, cheeks heating as a thin trickle of blood slid from her nose. Naruto had told her earlier that he had prepared a new look to mark his path as both a shinobi and swordsman. But what she was seeing now, it was simply too much. She couldn't even find the right word to describe it, though hot definitely floated to the top of her mind. The cause of her confusion was none other than a blond boy standing proudly in front of her. He wore a wide-brimmed black hat with a vivid orange plume, a long black coat left open to reveal his bare torso, its sleeves patterned in fiery orange spirals. His gray pants were tucked neatly into oversized boots, held up by a belt decorated with subtle carvings. Around his neck hung a simple wooden charm etched with the kanji for greatest. From top to bottom, his outfit was striking. Yakumo couldn't deny that it suited him, but there was one tiny issue. His lean six-pack was completely exposed. Her nose, bleeding uncontrollably, betrayed her thoughts, even though she tried her hardest not to show her appreciation. "Morning, Yakumo. I assume you're ready for the exam," Naruto greeted casually, completely ignoring her crimson nosebleed. Kurama had warned him this new style would stir reactions, but Naruto had shrugged it off. After all, Mihawk dressed like this without issue, so why should it be different for him? Why yeah, Naruto, I'm ready," Yakumo stammered, hastily wiping her face, her cheeks burning. "Good, then let's head in. The exam's about to begin," he said, stepping inside with Yakumo at his side. As they walked through the academy halls, ignoring stares filled with awe and envy, especially from the female students, Naruto's mind wandered back to the last 6 years. In that time, he had built connections with some remarkable people: Rock Lee, Yakumo, Yugo, and Hayate. With Lee, he had found both friendship and rivalry. They had sparred countless times since their first meeting. Yakumo became not only a trusted friend and comrade, but also a guide in genjutsu, helping him work around his overwhelming chakra. Yugo and Hayate served as his mentors, people he could depend on for wisdom and training. Naruto had even introduced Yakumo to Hayate, who gladly took her on as another student. But what Naruto took the most pride in was his steady climb toward his dream of becoming the strongest swordsman. For 5 years, he had shifted focus each year, sharpening different aspects of his training, and in the 6th year, he tied everything together, including genjutsu lessons with Yakumo. Just a week ago, after sparring with the Hokage himself, Hiruzen had praised Naruto's perseverance and progress. Though Naruto had kept a calm face, inside he was thrilled. Soon, they reached a classroom door. Naruto knocked and entered when a voice called for them. The moment they stepped inside, the chatter died instantly. Every eye in the room locked onto them, though many of the girls were clearly fixated on Naruto's bare chest. "Good morning," Naruto said as he strode toward the teachers. "Which one of you is Yumino Uruka?" "That would be me. Can I help you?" Uruka asked, shifting uncomfortably under Naruto's intense gaze. Without a word, Naruto handed over a scroll from the Hokage. Uruka read it, his eyes widening in disbelief. Turning back to the class, Uruka cleared his throat. "Students, please welcome Uzumaki Naruto and Kurama Yakumo, They'll be joining us today for the final exam. What? The room exploded, students glaring and whispering. That's not fair, shouted a boy with a white dog perched on his head. That dropout quit in the first year. Maybe so, Uruka replied, holding up the scroll, but it was the Hokage's own suggestion to train him personally. As for Yakumo, she couldn't enroll before due to health reasons, but with recovery and private tutoring, she's ready today. The class erupted with mutters and glares. Naruto ignored them, scanning the room until his gaze locked with a familiar dark-haired boy, Sasuke Uchiha. Still brooding and arrogant, Sasuke had nonetheless grown immensely, to the point many considered him near Chunin level already. He even carried a katana now, its hilt engraved with the Uchiha crest. Naruto and Yakumo took their seats as Uruka and Mizuki began handing out exam papers. No one seemed to notice the flash of hatred in Mizuki's eyes as he glanced at Naruto. So the demon returns, doesn't matter if he passes or fails. I'll still get the scroll of seals, Mizuki thought with a twisted grin. After the written test, mind-numbingly boring, in Naruto's words, the students moved to the courtyard for their taijutsu trials. Each had to withstand 5 minutes against an instructor or force them out of the ring. Naruto's turn pitted him against Mizuki, whose smile was unnerving. Let's see what you've got, demon, Mizuki sneered inwardly. When Uruka signaled the start, Mizuki lunged with a wide punch, certain it was enough. But Naruto wasn't so easily caught. Calmly, he dodged each strike, moving with effortless precision until his back was near the ring's edge. Mizuki lunged again, this time with a jab, only for Naruto to slip under, twist, and seize his arm. In one swift motion, he flipped Mizuki over his shoulder, slamming him onto the ground with such force it knocked the air out of him. Uruka's eyes went wide. Well done, Naruto, you pushed him out. Thank you, sensei, Naruto said, smiling faintly as he walked back to Yakumo. Nice work, Naruto, she grinned, her pride shining. Meanwhile, Mizuki wheezed, that monster, what kind of strength is this? Back inside, Uruka called students one by one for the 3 jutsu demonstration. Yakumo performed flawlessly, tying her new forehead protector proudly around her neck. Well done, Yakumo, you've earned it, Naruto told her warmly. She beamed. Thank you, Naruto, I never could have done it without you. Don't sell yourself short, you worked hard and hard work always pays off. When Yuzuki Ami, Yugao's niece, stepped up, Yakumo leaned closer. That's her, right? Yeah, Naruto nodded. Bit of a handful from what I've heard, also one of Sasuke's many fangirls. Ami's kawarimi was fine, but her henge came out with flaws and her bunshin failed completely. Uruka sighed. Sorry, Ami, but I can't promote you. You barely passed the written test, and in taijutsu you didn't hold up long enough. Naruto shook his head, unsurprised. He felt bad for Yugao's niece, but it was clear she hadn't put in the effort. Half an hour later, Naruto and Yakumo stepped outside, forehead protectors gleaming, greeted by the cheers of waiting families. Glad to see you both wearing those headbands, came a familiar voice. Hayate-sensei, Yakumo exclaimed, rushing toward him. Been a while, Hayate smiled, coughing lightly. I just got back from a mission and thought I'd check if my students made it through. Were you even a little unsure? Yakumo asked, her eyes narrowing slightly. Oh, I had plenty of doubts, Hayate admitted with a lopsided grin, only to wince when she smacked his shoulder. Still, congratulations are in order. You've worked hard to get here. Thank you, sensei, both genin said with a respectful bow. Naruto, however, added with a dry tone, too bad we can't say the same for Yugao's niece. Hayate blinked at him, taken aback before realization dawned. I see, do you know where she is? Naruto pointed toward the far corner of the yard, where a worn swing hung from a tree branch. Ami sat there alone, trying to push herself forward, her expression heavy with sadness. Hayate's lips pressed into a thin line as he stared, regret etched across his features. Maybe it's better if I don't approach her right now, he muttered, scratching the back of his head. I might just make things worse. Guilt weighed in his voice. He had ignored Yugao's niece for too long. The newly promoted genin nodded and began to walk away with him. At that same moment, Mizuki strolled over to Ami, his smile deceptively warm. That night, Hokage's office. She did what? Naruto raised a brow in disbelief. Yakumo looked equally stunned, her eyes darting between Hiruzen and her teammate. The Hokage coughed into his hand, his face slightly flushed with embarrassment. Ami, She somehow managed to steal the scroll of seals. Naruto gave him a look that screamed, "Are you serious right now?" Before asking flatly, why would she even try to take it? That's the troubling part. She knew exactly where it was kept, and knowledge of its location is restricted to Chunin and above. Hiruzen frowned, mind racing for answers. Which means someone tipped her off, Naruto concluded, his eyes narrowing as he glanced out the window at the quiet village. And whoever it was had no issue using a child as bait. "You understand why I called you here then," Hiruzen said, his voice stern. "Many of my ninja are already searching, but you're one of the finest sensors we have. That scroll cannot fall into the wrong hands." Naruto gave a firm nod and turned for the door. "Understood." Yakumo followed close behind. "So, where do we start?" she asked eagerly once outside. The thought of someone exploiting a young girl disgusted her, and she was determined to see the culprit pay. If there really is a traitor, they'll want to grab Ami before the other ninja find her. "Somewhere secluded, somewhere overlooked," Naruto muttered as he paced, deep in thought. Then his eyes lit up. "Yakumo, check behind the Hokage rock, she's probably there." "Are you certain?" Yakumo frowned, caught off guard by his sudden hunch. "What about you? I need to pick up something from home in case we end up fighting." Naruto smirked before vanishing in a flash. Yakumo let out a small sigh. "Figures. No point standing around, better get moving." She disappeared in the same fashion, heading straight for the cliffs. 30 minutes later, behind the Hokage rock, "Ga! Uruka-sensei!" Ami's horrified cry rang out as she watched her teacher pinned against a tree by a barrage of kunai. "Still weak, Uruka," Mizuki sneered from a branch above. "All those years teaching brats made you soft." "Mizuki, what is this?" Uruka demanded, pulling the weapons from his bleeding body. Ami looked at her former instructor, wide-eyed and trembling. "Mizuki-sensei." "Well, if it isn't my little failure," Mizuki sneered. "Why don't you hand me that scroll you've got? Do that and I'll make your death quick." "Be but the test, you said," Ami stammered, backing away. "Ami, run!" Uruka hurled shuriken at Mizuki, forcing the traitor to dodge. He lunged with his kunai, sparks flying as their blades clashed. But Uruka's injuries slowed him, and Mizuki easily overpowered him. "Why, Mizuki? Why betray the village?" "Because this place is rotting," Mizuki spat, kicking Uruka in the chest. "I've already pledged myself to a far stronger leader. That scroll will be my offering." "Traitor!" Uruka swung desperately, but Mizuki's blade cut into his shoulder with brutal efficiency. "You're pathetic," Mizuki mocked, slashing his cheek. "Bleeding out defending a worthless girl with no talent." "Shut up," Uruka barked, forcing himself between Ami and the traitor. "She's my student. I'll never abandon her." "Run, Ami," he shouted again. "Yes, run just like the weakling you are," Mizuki cackled, sidestepping Uruka's shuriken. "Once I'm done with him, you're next." Ami trembled, tears streaming down her face. Her father had died protecting her and her mother during the Ninetales attack, leaving her clinging to the dream of becoming a ninja. Yugo, her aunt, had joined the ANBU, leaving Ami to grow up alone. She had hidden her loneliness behind arrogance and bullying, and now she finally saw how foolish she had been. "I'm not useless," she screamed, pulling out a tanto gifted to her by Yugo and Hayate. Its black sheath, adorned with violet blossoms, gleamed in the moonlight. "Oh, you want to fight?" Mizuki laughed cruelly, hurling a massive Fuma shuriken at her. "Then die like the worthless brat you are." Ami's tears still flowed, but a determined grin spread across her face. "Too late, Mizuki team. I already learned something from the scroll." The shuriken tore through her, only for her body to vanish in an instant. "What?" Mizuki spun, blocking a sudden slash from behind. Ami stood there, breathing hard but smiling fiercely. "That was an afterimage." Uruka's eyes widened in recognition. "Zanzo Bunshin," Ami said proudly. "A technique once used by Shisui Uchiha. Guess the Hokage thought it was worth recording." "You little," Mizuki roared, driving a kick into her stomach. She slammed against a tree, coughing blood. Her body ached from the repeated attempts it had taken to learn the jutsu. "Pathetic effort," Mizuki sneered, raising a kunai. "Time to end this." "No," Uruka shouted as the blade struck Ami's head. Blood splattered, her body going limp. "Ami," Uruka's voice broke, tears streaming as Mizuki laughed over the girl's corpse. But when Mizuki reached for the scroll strapped to her back, the body dissolved into nothingness. "What the hell?" he snapped. "You all right, Uruka-sensei?" A calm female voice rang out. Mizuki whirled to see Yakumo carrying Ami, battered but alive. Keikurama Yakumo, Uruka exhaled in relief. You saved her. I couldn't stand by, Yakumo said softly, placing Ami at his side. Ami weakly looked up at her. Why you? Don't waste your strength, Yakumo urged. Her eyes hardened as she faced Mizuki. So you were the traitor all along. I had my suspicions. Another brat playing ninja, Mizuki spat. I'll make you regret crossing me. If I were you, a new voice cut in coolly, I'd watch my mouth. Mizuki's glare snapped toward the source. Well, look at that, the demon shows himself. Naruto ignored the insult and walked over to Yakumo. How bad are they? Just some cuts and bruises, nothing life-threatening, Yakumo reassured with a small nod, while Mizuki's anger only grew. Hey, monster, don't you dare ignore me, the white-haired traitor barked, but his eyes suddenly caught something he had missed during the exam that morning. Strapped across Naruto's back was a massive weapon unlike any standard blade. The double-edged sword was almost as tall as the boy himself, its broad design resembling a great cross. The guard and pommel gleamed golden, while the handle was wrapped in a deep crimson hue, making it appear more ceremonial than practical. What is that thing? Mizuki thought, sweat beginning to bead at his temple. I wasn't ignoring you, Naruto answered firmly, his back shielding Yakumo, Uruka, and Ami. I was making sure you wouldn't hurt them again. You're wasting my time. I'll kill you and take that scroll, Mizuki snarled, pulling out his second Fuma Shuriken. That oversized sword of yours won't save you. Naruto studied the spinning blade, but instead of drawing his claymore, he unclasped the amamori hanging around his neck. To everyone's surprise, he pulled it apart to reveal a slim hidden knife, holding it steadily in his right hand. You've got to be kidding me, Mizuki scoffed, veins bulging with rage. You think a toy like that can stop me? I brought my claymore in case the mole was someone dangerous. Turns out it's only a chunin, Naruto replied coolly. I don't need to waste my full strength on prey like you, and this is the smallest blade I have right now. You arrogant brat, die, Mizuki roared, hurling the massive shuriken straight at Naruto's throat. Uruka and Ami screamed for him to move, but Naruto stood calm. As the weapon closed in, his hand moved faster than their eyes could track. A sharp clang rang out, and in the next moment, the giant shuriken fell neatly split in half behind him. How, what just happened? Mizuki gasped, stumbling back as Naruto's bored gaze locked on him. Wind chakra. Simple technique, Naruto said, stepping forward before sliding the small blade away. He turned to Yakumo instead, ignoring Mizuki. Don't ignore me. A broken shuriken won't stop me from gutting you, Mizuki roared, brandishing a kunai. Naruto didn't bother looking at him. I could finish this, but I don't steal prey that belongs to others. Mizuki frowned, not understanding until his knees buckled. A crushing wave of killing intent pinned him down. Turning with difficulty, his blood ran cold at the sight of 4 ANBU appearing in a blur. One, with flowing purple hair, radiated a terrifying aura. The captain's furious, muttered the ANBU in a bear mask. Almost feel sorry for him, added the bird-masked one, shaking his head. He used a little girl as bait. He deserves this, said the boar-masked ANBU, tapping his mask. ANBU, damn it, Mizuki cursed. You won't stop me. My master, his words ended abruptly as the purple-haired ANBU flashed behind him. Her sword clicked back into its sheath, and Mizuki's head rolled from his shoulders, blood staining the ground. So fast. Uruka and Ami thought in unison, stunned, while Yakumo and Naruto barely reacted. They already knew Yugao's speed. Is everyone safe? Yugao asked, her voice calm though her hands trembled slightly as she looked at her niece. Ami gave a shy nod, embarrassed that her own aunt had to save her. Naruto, however, noticed the suppressed urge in Yugao's hands to hug Ami right then, restrained only by her ANBU mask. Given the situation, we should return the scroll and get the wounded treated, Naruto said matter-of-factly. Yakumo and I can deliver the scroll of seals to the Hokage. You three should escort Uruka to the hospital and deal with Mizuki's body. And maybe take Ami once she's steadier. The ANBU exchanged glances before agreeing. Very well, Uzumaki-san, we'll entrust you with the scroll, the boar-masked one replied, sealing Mizuki's corpse while the others shunshined away with Uruka. Yakumo quickly retrieved the scroll from Ami and disappeared with Naruto toward the Hokage's office. Just before leaving, Naruto caught a faint "thank you" from Yugo. Once alone, Yugo dropped her mask and pulled Ami into a tight embrace. "I'm sorry, this is all my fault." Ami shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "No, I'm the failure. I let myself be tricked like a child. I even failed the academy exam. I'm nothing but shame to my parents." "SSHH, don't cry," Yugo soothed gently. "You're not a failure. You fought with the weapon we entrusted you with, and I couldn't be prouder. Forget about the exam, there's always next year. And this time, I'll help you myself." Ami wept quietly into her aunt's arms, unaware that the Hokage had been watching through his crystal ball, smiling softly. 1 hour later, Hokage's office. "And that concludes the report, Hokage-sama," Yugo said, mask still on. Naruto, Yakumo, and Ami stood behind her. "Excellent work, Kat. Inoichi will dig through Mizuki's mind. We need to know who this master is," Hiruzen said gravely, before softening at Ami. "As for you, young one, I believe this belongs to you." He tossed a forehead protector at her. Ami caught it in shock. "Hokage-sama, this is—" "Yes," Hiruzen said warmly. "You are now officially a genin of Konoha. Congratulations, Ami-chan." Tears welled as Ami smiled through them, nodding. "Now, Kat, if memory serves, you requested to step down from ANBU duty to become a Jonin instructor, so you could spend more time with family." "Correct?" Hiruzen asked, surprising Ami and Yugo alike. "Yes, Hokage-sama. I submitted the request last week." Hiruzen's lips curled into a sly grin that made the room tense. "Request approved, and I already have a perfect team in mind for you." Konoha Ninja Academy, excitement and nerves buzzed through the classroom where the graduates gathered, waiting to hear which teams they'd be assigned to and which Jonin would guide them. Sasuke sat in the front row, sharpening his katana with a whetstone while his fan club squealed in delight, ignoring his scowl of annoyance. Toward the back, Shino whispered softly to his insects, unsettling anyone who overheard. Hinata sat nearby, sneaking shy glances toward the last row where Naruto and Yakumo sat side by side, chatting. Her heart sank, though she tried to ignore it, and Kiba's endless bragging about becoming a Chunin first. Behind them, Shikamaru snoozed lazily with his head on his arms, while Choji munched through his third bag of chips. Typical for the Nara and Akimichi heirs. Elsewhere, Ino and Sakura were already squabbling, ready to come to blows over who deserved the seat closest to Sasuke. The classroom door slid open, silencing the chatter. Gasps echoed as Ami entered, dressed in entirely new gear. Gone was her long red skirt. Now she wore a split variant with fitted black shorts, calf-high ninja boots, and a sleeveless purple top with one arm wrapped in a protective guard. Her new forehead protector was tied proudly around her upper arm. A chest plate shielded her torso, and a tanto rested across her back above her pouch. Her transformation left the room stunned. "Wah, Ami. What on earth are you doing here?" Sakura's voice cracked as she pointed at the girl in disbelief. "Yeah, didn't you fail the exam?" Ino added with a smug look, arms crossed tightly over her chest. Ami scoffed, her tone sharp as she jabbed a finger at the forehead protector resting proudly on her head. "Then I guess you two need an eye exam, because clearly you can't see. Look closely, I'm a shinobi now. I got promoted last night. And why in the world would they promote you at night?" Sakura narrowed her eyes suspiciously. "That's classified. If you're dying to know, go bother the Hokage yourself." Ami smirked confidently, brushing past them. The two girls turned sharply, ready to accuse her of trying to edge closer to Sasuke. But to their surprise, Ami didn't spare him a glance. Instead, she kept walking until she stopped near where Naruto and Yakumo were seated. Gesturing awkwardly to the empty spot beside Yakumo, she muttered, Can I sit here?" Yakumo's smile was warm and welcoming. "Of course." Sliding into the seat, Ami scratched her cheek and admitted, "These clothes aren't really new. They belong to my Aunt Yugo, except for the skirt. None of my outfits were good for shinobi work, so she gave me some of hers." Her gaze flicked toward Naruto curiously. "Hey, what happened to that giant sword you were carrying yesterday?" Naruto answered calmly, his eyes steady and unreadable. "That was a claymore, it's at home. No reason to bring it today." Something about his gaze made Ami shiver, even though his tone was level. The quiet ended when Uruka entered, his usual smile easing across his face. "Good morning, everyone." Glad to see you're all here. He moved to his desk, looking out over the class. As you know, today you'll be split into squads, each led by a Jonin instructor. These will be your new comrades, almost like family. You'll fight together, train together, grow together. No matter what lies ahead, you'll face it as one. That bond is what makes Konoha strong, the will of fire. I'm proud to have taught you all these years. When you become great shinobi, don't forget your old sensei still wrangling new brats like you. The class broke into cheers, some even clapping. After a moment, Uruka lifted a clipboard, silencing them. All right, time for team assignments. Team 1. I wonder which team we'll get, Yakumo whispered to Ami. Ami nodded. After last night, I'm sure we'll be together. Just not sure about the number. Naruto, eyes closed, muttered, just wait and listen. Uruka continued. Team 7, Sakura Haruno, Sasuke Uchiha and Sai. Your Jonin sensei will be Kakashi Hatake. Team 8, Hinata Hyuga, Kiba Inuzuka and Shino Aburame. Your Jonin will be Kurenai Yuhai. Team 9 is still active. Team 10, Ino Yamanaka, Shikamaru Nara and Choji Akamichi. Their leader is Asuma Sarutobi. He paused, a small smirk tugging at his lips. And finally, Team Blade, Naruto Uzumaki, Yakumo Kurama and Ami Uzuki. Your sensei will be Yugo Uzuki. The room stirred with surprise. Wait a second, why does their team get a name instead of a number? Kiba barked from his seat, glaring at Ami, who only grinned back. Yakumo remained calm, while Naruto's face stayed expressionless. Uruka shrugged casually. Direct orders from the Hokage. If you've got a problem, take it up with him. Kiba paled instantly and sank into his seat. Uneasy murmurs filled the classroom until Uruka dismissed them. One by one, Jonin arrived to collect their squads. Team Blade, Yugo appeared at the doorway with a faint smile. Naruto, Ami, and Yakumo rose together. Meet me at training ground 13 in 15 minutes. She vanished in a swirl of leaves. Yakumo placed a hand on Ami's shoulder, and with Naruto at her side, the three disappeared in a flicker of movement. What the hell was that? Kiba shouted, wide-eyed as the rest of the class sat stunned. Even Sasuke's hand clenched tightly around his katana, irritation flashing across his face. They already know the body flicker technique. I'll need to learn it myself, Sasuke thought darkly. 2 minutes later, training ground 13, Yugo smiled when they appeared before her. On time as always. Ami, looking a bit queasy, snapped, don't ever do that without warning again. She shot a glare at Yakumo. Sorry, Yakumo said sheepishly. The first few times can really throw your body off. Don't worry, Ami. I'll teach you the technique once our team is made official, Yugo reassured, catching both girls by surprise. Wait, you mean it's not official yet? Yakumo tilted her head, Ami nodding in confusion, while Naruto stayed quiet, watching their teacher. Not yet, Yugo explained firmly. That graduation test you took was just to weed out unprepared students. The real exam is tomorrow morning, right here at 7 sharp. Until then, I want us to get to know one another. The three groaned, but Yugo pressed on. Naruto and Yakumo know each other already, but neither of you knows Ami very well. So, introductions, share what you like, dislike, and your goals. Yakumo gestured for Ami to start. The purple-haired girl sighed. Fine. I like shopping, eating blackberry tarts, and watching Sakura and Ino humiliate themselves chasing Sasuke. I hate traitors, worms, perverts, rain, and being abandoned. Her cheeks flushed slightly. My dream is to be a kunoichi as strong as my aunt. Yugo smiled warmly, relieved her niece seemed to have dropped her old obsession with Sasuke. Next, Yakumo spoke confidently. I enjoy painting, honing my genjutsu, and training with Naruto, Rock Lee, Yugo-sensei, and Hayate-sensei. I can't stand traitors, idiots who can't tell a kunai from a scroll, and people who call genjutsu useless. My dream is to become the greatest genjutsu master in the world. Ami's jaw dropped. To aim that high and say it without hesitation, it was inspiring, if not a little intimidating. Finally, Naruto opened his eyes. His voice was steady, serious. I like ramen, training with Yakumo, Rock Lee, and my mentors, reading and working with my blades. I hate traitors, abusers of power, and politicians. My goal is simple: to become the strongest swordsman in the world. Ami blinked, struck dumb. First Yakumo, now him. Both of them want to be the best at something. Compared to that, my dream feels so small. Good, Yugo said, smiling. That's enough for today. Tomorrow at 7, don't be late, and eat something healthy." With that, she disappeared. Naruto turned to Ami. "We didn't really get a chance to talk last night. From what the Hokage told me, you stole the scroll of seals and stood against Mizuki despite the odds. I respect that you showed determination most wouldn't." Ami blushed faintly and looked away. "It wasn't much. I just couldn't let that snake get away. Besides, I ended up promoted and learned something new because of it." Yakumo perked up. "That move you used on Mizuki, Zanzo Bunshin, right?" Ami nodded, stepping back with a grin. She formed the technique, and 2 afterimages of herself flickered into place. Yakumo gasped in surprise, struggling to figure out what kind of clone this was, while Naruto's sharp eyes caught the faint distortions along the edges. "I see, so that wasn't a standard Bunshin at all. It's more of a speed trick. You move so fast that your afterimages look like clones." Naruto spoke calmly, nodding in understanding. Ami released her technique, chest rising and falling as she caught her breath. "I can understand why that ended up in the scroll of seals," Naruto continued. "A shinobi with great speed could turn that into a lethal weapon. And honestly, this should help you get the hang of the Shunshin no Jutsu even faster. The two are similar enough. You already have the foundation, you just need to build up your chakra reserves." Yakumo tilted her head, curious. "I've been wondering, how did you even manage to steal the scroll of seals? Isn't it supposed to be under heavy guard?" Ami flushed, scratching the back of her head awkwardly. "Well, Mizuki told me where it was. And thanks to Aunt Yugo, I knew there are rare times when no ANBU are in the Hokage's office. So I slipped in and then I... Her voice dropped into a mumble. "Sorry, what was that? Couldn't catch it," Yakumo asked, leaning closer. Face burning, Ami blurted out, "I hinged into a naked version of Aunt Yugo, and the Hokage fainted from a nosebleed." The training field fell into stunned silence. Naruto and Yakumo just stared, wide-eyed. Nobody moved for several heartbeats, until Naruto had to break his connection with Kurama just to stop the fox from laughing hysterically. "I see," Yakumo muttered, her cheeks faintly pink. Naruto, thanks to Mihawk's memories, managed to recover first. He'd witnessed stranger things. Sanji alone had been proof enough of human absurdity. Shaking his head, he shifted focus. "Anyway, we should get ready for tomorrow. But first, come with me. You too, Ami, it'll be good for you." Somewhat surprised, Ami followed the pair as they walked through the village and stopped outside a weapons shop Naruto and Yakumo knew well. For Naruto especially, this store held meaning. He discovered his chakra affinities here and had bought gear from the same man ever since. The bell above the door rang as they stepped inside. A large man behind the counter lit up. "Naruto, Yakumo, my favorite customers, and this must be a new friend." "Morning, Daiki," Naruto greeted with a nod. "I came for the order I placed months ago. Is it finished?" Daiki grinned. "Of course. Took me a while, but with your notes, I got it done just right." He vanished into the back and soon returned with a long wooden case, reinforced with metal along the edges, latches on the front. Setting it on the counter, he gave a small nod toward Naruto. Instead of opening it himself, Naruto looked at Yakumo and motioned. "Go on, open it." Perplexed, Yakumo unlatched the case. The moment the lid lifted, she gasped, hands flying to her mouth while Ami's eyes widened. Inside lay a rapier on soft violet velvet. The scabbard was black leather, tipped in polished steel. Near the hilt, a crimson Konoha symbol had been carefully painted. The guard gleamed, steel so bright it looked silver, etched with delicate feather patterns. The handle was bound in red leather, and the knuckle bow was crafted in the shape of the Kurama clan crest. Yakumo stood frozen, breath caught in her throat. At Daiki's encouraging nod, she lifted the weapon. It felt impossibly light. She slid the blade free, awed by its flawless shine. Testing its balance, she slashed once, then lunged. The blade sang faintly through the air before she sheathed it again, trembling. "It's beautiful, thank you, it's perfect," she whispered, fighting back tears. Daiki chuckled. "You should thank Naruto. He gave me the design down to the details. I just forged it." Yakumo turned, meeting Naruto's warm smile. "You've earned it. You've trained hard from the day we met. When I guided you, you chose a rapier. So you deserve to wield one for real." Overcome, Yakumo threw her arms around him, sobbing, thank you so much." Still blinking in surprise, Naruto patted her back. "No need to thank me, use it well. From now on, you can truly train as a swordswoman. Take today to get used to it tomorrow, you'll need it. Yakumo pulled away, face flushed but smiling wide. I will. I won't let you down. She dashed out of the store, waving goodbye to Daiki and her teammates. The blacksmith chuckled. You sure know how to make a lady's day. Wonder if you'll be able to make her happy in other ways too. Ami turned scarlet, but Naruto only rolled his eyes and shifted toward her. Now then, your turn. Me, Ami squeaked, pointing at herself. Yes, Naruto's tone was firm. Yakumo told me you're comfortable with your tanto, it's a fine weapon, and you're quick on your feet. If you want to learn Kenjutsu seriously, you should focus on speed-based styles. Your tanto works, but I suggest adding a pair of wakizashi. If Yugao-sensei or Heiate-sensei can't guide you, I'll help. Ami fidgeted with her tanto. I'd like to learn Kenjutsu, but isn't it too late for me to start? Not at all, Naruto said without hesitation. Yakumo has a head start, sure, but today is really the first time she's holding her true weapon. You'd be beginning fresh just like her. I don't expect you to master the basics instantly. What matters is starting. Ami bit her lip, then nodded. So, wakizashi, they suit you, Naruto agreed, signaling Daiki. The smith returned with two simple blades, black sheaths, golden round guards, red-wrapped hilts. Ami tested their weight, then slid them across her back in an X, handles peeking over her shoulders. After paying for both Yakumo's rapier and Ami's blades, Naruto led Ami back out toward the training fields. Naruto, she asked quietly. Thanks for helping me, Naruto smirked. Don't thank me yet. Training starts now and I won't go easy on you. A chill ran down Ami's spine. Why do I feel like this is going to hurt? 5 hours later, Yugo and Ami's house. The front door creaked open, then shut. Yugo glanced up from her magazine and nearly dropped it. Ami stood there, covered in small cuts, moving like she'd survived a battlefield. The two stared at each other. Naruto? Yugo asked. Naruto, Ami deadpanned. Training, torture, 3 hours. 4.5, Yugo blinked, then chuckled softly as Ami trudged toward the bath. Her gaze caught on the twin wakizashi strapped to the girl's back, and her lips curved into a knowing smile. This team is going to be very interesting. She returned to her magazine, grin still lingering. Next day, training ground 13, when the trio arrived, they noticed their sensei wasn't alone. Beside Yugo stood two men dressed nearly the same, both with headband cloth tied like bandanas. One wore it normally, the other had it reversed, not across his forehead. Naruto and Yakumo recognized Heiate immediately, but the man with a senbon between his teeth was unfamiliar. Ami, however, Genma-san, what brings you here? The purple-haired girl asked, tilting her head slightly. The man smirked, a senbon shifting between his teeth. Nice to see you again, Ami. Heiate mentioned you took quite a risk the other day. Why yeah, you could say that, she muttered, glancing away with a faint blush. Genma's gaze moved to the other two genin. Pleasure to meet you both. Name's Genma Shiranui, friend of Heiate and Yugo. The pair gave him respectful nods, then shifted their questioning eyes toward their sensei. As I explained yesterday, Yugo began, her expression serious. Today is the real test that will decide if you qualify as Konoha Genin. Traditionally, this exam involves taking 2 bells from me within a set time to test teamwork. But since you'd probably expect that, I've decided to change it. Instead of me or Heiate, who are both too attached to you, Genma will serve as your examiner. Your task is to fight him with everything you've got. Impress him and you pass. While her teammates set their jaws with determination, Ami's shoulders sank. Yugo-sensei, are you sure? Genma-san is a Tokubetsu Jonin like Heiate. I don't think I stand a chance. Yugo softened her voice. You're not expected to beat him, Ami. The goal is to show your skills and resolve. As long as you give it your all, that's enough. Though still uneasy, Ami nodded. With that, Yugo and Heiate wished them luck before vanishing, leaving the trio alone with Genma. The genin instinctively jumped back, creating space. All right, Genma said coolly, scanning each of them. Let's begin. Without hesitation, he hurled a flurry of kunai and shuriken to gauge their reactions. Ami, having barely trained aside from sparring with Naruto the day before, immediately played it safe. She quickly performed a substitution jutsu, swapping herself with a log that was struck instead. Naruto stood firm, hands moving swiftly through seals. Wind style. Spinning shield of gales. A vortex of air swirled before him, forming a rotating barrier that absorbed the incoming weapons before hurling them back. Genma raised an eyebrow but easily deflected the rebounding projectiles with a single kunai. Meanwhile, Yakumo relied on her agility, weaving and twisting to dodge every blade with graceful precision. When she had an opening, she unleashed her own volley of kunai, each tipped with explosive tags. Recognizing the danger, Genma backflipped and flew through hand seals. Earth style. Mud wall. The ground rose into a massive wall of stone, absorbing the detonations before crumbling into dust and smoke. Listening carefully through the haze, Genma caught the sound of movement to his left. He turned sharply, blocking Yakumo's kunai strike. Their blades locked, her strength no match for his, but before he could counter, Naruto charged through the smoke with his claymore raised for a crushing downward strike. Realizing a kunai alone wouldn't suffice, Genma infused his blade with earth chakra, meeting the blow head-on. To his surprise, the sheer force nearly overwhelmed him, his arm going numb from the impact. At the same time, Ami darted from the side with her tanto, but the Jonin calmly spat the senbon from his mouth, embedding it into her thigh. She gasped and dropped to her knees, clutching the wound. Naruto and Yakumo pressed forward, but Genma leapt back, freeing his hands for another jutsu. Fire style, Phoenix Sage Fire! A storm of blazing fireballs rained down on them. Naruto and Yakumo immediately took position in front of Ami, their hands flashing through seals. Water style, Water Bullet! Yakumo shouted. Wind style, Great Breakthrough! Naruto roared. The water projectile and gust fused together, smothering the flames and creating a dense steam cloud. Back to square one, Ami hissed, ripping the senbon from her leg. But before anyone could react, tiny spheres shot out from the mist, bursting into blinding flashes. Yakumo and Ami cried out as their vision was seared, while Naruto shielded his eyes with the brim of his hat. Through the glare, he saw Genma charging Yakumo, fist raised. Acting instinctively, Naruto rushed in, intercepting the blow with the flat of his claymore. But Genma shifted mid-strike, spinning into a fierce kick that slammed against Naruto's blade. The force sent him sliding back into Yakumo, though he managed to keep his footing with chakra anchored to the ground. As Naruto steadied himself, Genma spun fluidly, 3 kunai appearing in his left hand. Naruto's eyes widened, not him, not Yakumo Ami. He sprinted to shield her, but pain exploded in his leg as senbon dug into his muscle, numbing it. Jump left, Ami! Naruto shouted. She stumbled awkwardly but obeyed, narrowly avoiding the kunai. Genma smirked at Naruto's sharp reaction, but his eyes flicked toward Yakumo, who appeared vulnerable after being knocked down. Then her body shimmered and vanished. Genjutsu, Genma muttered, just as a high kick from his right came at his head. He bent backward, narrowly dodging Yakumo's strike, then seized her ankle and hurled her toward Naruto. Despite his injured leg, Naruto caught her safely. Sorry, Naruto, she panted. I wasn't fast enough. It's fine, he said, pulling the senbon from his leg as the wounds quickly closed. Genma noted the healing. Uzumaki and a Jinchuriki. Normal tricks won't slow him down for long. Ami staggered back to the group, still rubbing her eyes. Damn it, he always seems one step ahead. Naruto's gaze stayed steady. He's using everything we throw at him. When we made steam, he turned it into cover for his flash bombs. Instead of retreating, he attacked directly, knowing the mist would dull the light for him but blind us completely. Genma chuckled. Well said, that's not the kind of lesson they hand out at the academy. You've been paying attention. With a grin, he unfurled a scroll and channeled chakra into it, summoning a katana with a gray hilt and sheath. Ami blinked. Genma-san, you use a sword too. He rested the weapon at his side. I've picked up a few things from spending time with Hate and Yugo, though I can't match their skill. His eyes flicked to Yakumo, who had drawn a slim rapier. He tilted his head curiously. Interesting, never seen a blade like that before. Yakumo smirked faintly. You'll see it up close soon enough. I guess so, Genma shrugged, tucking another senbon between his lips. Ready? Naruto tightened his grip on his claymore, his eyes full of resolve. Ami mirrored him, steadying her tanto, while Yakumo stood firm at Naruto's side, rapier angled forward with elegance. Genma's grin widened. I'll take that as a yes. Meanwhile, Hokage's office. Looks like Genma decided to bring it out, Hayate noted, watching the scene unfold through the Hokage's crystal ball, which was connected to the Tongen no Jutsu. That means he's finally getting serious, Yugao said with a faint smile. Still, I'm more intrigued by Yakumo's weapon. That blade is stunning. Rapier, Hiruzen finished for her, surprising them both. Hokage-sama, you've seen such a weapon before? Hate asked, curiosity in his voice. The elderly leader chuckled softly. Not in person, but back when I was a child, Hashirama-sama showed me some ancient scrolls that described unusual weapons from faraway lands. The rapier was among them. Naruto and Yakumo had mentioned it to me before, though they hadn't actually possessed one until today. Strange that weapons like that aren't more common, Hate muttered, eyeing the craftsmanship. They originate mainly from the west, past the land of earth and land of wind, Hiruzen explained. According to my teacher, Westerners rarely ventured here, so very little knowledge about them reached us. Those scrolls were written long before the Warring States period, and most records were lost in the endless conflicts that followed. A shame, Yugao murmured, admiration still in her gaze. That rapier is truly beautiful. Let's see how she uses it against Genma's Senhari technique. At the same time, training ground 13, Genma stood perfectly still, analyzing the 3 genin before him. Naruto's the strongest physically, and that claymore proves it. But he's also quicker than he looks, more refined than the other 2. Ami's movements are sharp and light, her tanto favoring speed and precision, until she decides to switch to those twin wakizashi. As for Yakumo, troublesome. That rapier isn't meant for broad swings, it's designed for thrusts. I'll need to be careful with her. Without warning, Naruto charged, his blade cloaked in Futon chakra. Ami and Yakumo split off to flank. Predicting their plan, Genma infused his sword with Katen chakra and met Naruto head-on. Their weapons clashed, locked in a deadlock. Yakumo lunged in, forcing Genma to react. He aimed a kick at Naruto, but the boy instinctively pulled back before it landed. Turning toward Yakumo, Genma swung for her, but she anticipated it and retreated. Still, he slashed the air, and 3 burning senbon shot out, embedding into Yakumo's arm. She cried out in pain. Naruto's eyes widened. How the hell did he launch those? Both his hands were on his sword. Before he could figure it out, Ami darted from behind. Genma spotted her instantly. To his surprise, 2 more Amis appeared beside her, all sprinting toward him. His shock didn't last. His blade sliced through the clones in an instant, dropping the real Ami with senbon piercing her legs. Wind release, Furyu no Jutsu. Naruto unleashed a massive dragon of cutting wind, forcing Genma to leap away as it tore across the field. While the Jonin dodged, Naruto rushed to Yakumo, lifting her up before helping Ami remove the burning needles. Good thing Genma avoided vital spots. The Katen chakra cauterized the wounds too, Naruto said, glancing at the 2. As the wind dragon dispersed under a counter-fire jutsu, Naruto turned back to their opponent. I think I figured out his trick. Genma raised an eyebrow. Oh, do share. It's the blade, Naruto said firmly. He's got seals etched into it. Yakumo and Ami's eyes widened as Genma smirked, tilting the sword to reveal 6 tiny seals carved into the guard. My family isn't from Konoha or the Land of Fire, Genma explained calmly. My grandfather came from Aim but moved here to escape the life he had. He taught my father, and then me, how to fight with senbon. This katana is a family heirloom. Its name is Senhari. You can guess why. Yakumo quickly pieced it together. The seals store senbon, right? When you channel chakra through the blade, it hides the activation. Since the whole sword glows, no one notices where the chakra really goes. Exactly, Genma said with approval. That way I can keep enemies off guard. He slid the sword back into its sheath. That's enough for today. What? Ami shouted, still wincing. We're done already? Of course, Genma chuckled. This was just a genin test, not a jonin match. If I'd gone full force, I would have drawn my blade from the start. I only needed to see if you're ready for the path of shinobi. And I must say, you aren't bad. Naruto's clearly the strongest of you, but you too. He glanced at Ami and Yakumo. You're on the right track to becoming excellent kunoichi. Both girls smiled, bowing gratefully. Just then, Hate and Yugao appeared. Congratulations, you're officially a squad, Yugao said warmly. Hate gave a small grin. Tomorrow, same time, your first mission begins. Ami, don't stay out late. With that, the Jonin vanished, leaving the three exhausted genin behind. Ami collapsed immediately. Man, Genma-san is ridiculously strong. He was holding back, Yakumo said with a faint smile, staring at her rapier. I didn't even get to test this properly. Don't worry, Naruto said, leaning against a tree. You'll get your chance. Still, fighting him was interesting. His style's unique. He hit us mid-motion without causing permanent damage. That takes skill, Yakumo added, sealing away her rapier. That's Genma-san for you. He blocked me just by spitting a senbon, Ami groaned, rubbing her legs. He is a jonin, Naruto replied, pushing off the tree. Don't strain yourselves till you've been checked at the hospital. See you later. Ami watched him leave, puzzled. He's strange, isn't he? How so? Yakumo asked. Sometimes he's just a regular boy. Other times it's like he's a battle-worn veteran. It's weird. Yakumo nodded softly. She knew his past. He'd shared it with her months ago. Under the condition, she kept it secret. With a sigh, she helped Ami up. Want to celebrate? We are official genin now. I like that idea, Ami grinned, then winced. But first, the hospital. Yeah, agreed, Yakumo muttered, wincing as well. Damn senbon needles. Meanwhile, Naruto walked home calmly, ignoring the stares of villagers. Several women, however, blushed as their eyes drifted to his bare chest. You didn't tell them about your plan for tomorrow, Kurama teased inside his head. Didn't need to. They'll figure it out soon enough, Naruto replied with a grin. Oh, Ami's going to scream her lungs out. I can't wait. They'll understand me, Naruto answered confidently. Kurama chuckled darkly. We'll see. The next morning, Naruto's house, Naruto sipped his coffee, eyeing the clock. 10 o'clock already. Strange nothing's happened yet. As if on cue, a loud scream shook the air. Where the hell is he? Naruto smirked, flipping a page of his newspaper. Guess Ami's patience finally snapped. You doubted it. I'm surprised she lasted 3 hours, Kurama laughed. Another scream followed. You're late, Naruto raised an eyebrow. That sounded like Sakura Haruno. Her sensei's that scarecrow, remember? Oh right, Kakashi Hatake. Still not sure why he's always late. You're late too, Kurama deadpanned. I've got a reason. And just then, a third voice bellowed across the village. Youth. Naruto lazily flipped through the paper, sipping from his cup of coffee. Rock Lee and Guy Sensei. Nothing out of the ordinary, he muttered. A few quiet minutes passed before a knock came at the door. Thanks to his sharpened senses, he already knew who it was. Setting the newspaper aside, he went to open it without hesitation. Standing there were Ami, on the verge of a meltdown, Yakumo with worry written across her face, and Yugao wearing her usual disapproving frown. Morning, Naruto greeted politely with a small bow. Want some coffee? Ami's eye twitched. Do you even know what time it is? Yeah, 10 o'clock. Why? Because you're late for our mission, she barked, making Yakumo flinch. You mean our chores, Naruto replied flatly. Huh? Ami and Yakumo tilted their heads while Yugao let out a tired sigh. Naruto, their sensei said, I understand you dislike these tasks, but they're still important. Naruto snorted. D-rank missions are nothing but errands for rookies. That's all. Haven't you noticed teams of genin running around doing odd jobs? Painting fences, pulling weeds, grocery runs? Ami scratched her cheek. Now that you mention it, I did see a squad trimming tree branches once. Their jonin was just standing there watching them. Exactly, that was a mission. Naruto's deadpan answer left Ami speechless. She quickly turned to Yugao for confirmation. With no reason to lie, Yugao nodded. He's right. D-rank assignments are glorified chores. They're meant to teach cooperation and get you used to working as a team. Garden cleanups, deliveries, roof repairs, fence fixing, you name it. That's ridiculous. Those aren't missions. Ami snapped, with Yakumo nodding in quiet agreement. They are requests from villagers who pay the village, Naruto explained, his gaze steady. It fuels the economy. People are lazy or can't manage themselves, so they outsource to us. Technically, we get rewarded, but let's be honest, they're chores. Yugao rubbed her temples. I get it, Naruto. But you can't just jump to C-rank jobs. You might handle it fine. Maybe Yakumo too, but Ami isn't there yet. The rule is clear, you need at least 30 D-rank missions first. 30? Ami nearly fell over. Doing chores at home was bad enough. Doing other people's was torture. Naruto sighed. Waste of time if you ask me, but if we must, he clapped his hands together. Shadow clone jutsu. A puff of smoke revealed a perfect copy standing beside him. Ami pointed in shock. Wait, that's from the Scroll of Seals. How do you even know that technique? Hayate-sensei taught me. I'm not the only one either, Naruto said, glancing at Yugo. Yugo groaned. And you plan on using clones for these chores? The Hokage won't be thrilled if he hears about this. He'll notice, Naruto shrugged. Clones hold less chakra than me, he's not stupid. But what's your answer, sensei? Her lips curved despite herself. This is only the beginning of the headaches you'll give me, but at least you won't bore me. With a hand seal, she created her own clone. Ami's jaw dropped as Yakumo summoned one as well. You too, Ami squeaked. Yakumo blushed. Naruto taught me months ago, but I can only make one, that's my limit right now. So I'm the only one stuck doing chores, Ami whined. Naruto created another clone, which immediately transformed into Ami's likeness. Problem solved, now you can train with us. Ami's frown broke into a grin. Hell yeah. Sensei, can I learn that too? Not right now, Yugo said gently. But with enough practice, you'll get there. For now, let's focus on those D ranks. The clones all nodded in unison before vanishing toward the Hokage Tower. Naruto returned inside to prepare. Serious training awaited. 2 weeks later, Hokage's office. Hokage-sama, I believe my squad is ready for a C rank, Yugo reported with calm confidence. The old leader raised a brow. Oh. How many D ranks have they completed, Uruka? Uruka checked his clipboard. 42, sir, currently the highest among all genin teams. The Hokage chuckled softly. No surprise there. They're efficient, even balancing personal training alongside team duties. He already knew Naruto's secret, but had no intention of stopping him. The boy had also shared the solution to endless paperwork after all. We just work fast, Yugo said seriously. Very well, I'll authorize a C rank. Hiruzen smiled at the eager looks of Ami and Yakumo. Naruto's expression, of course, remained unreadable. Send in Tazuna. Moments later, an older man stumbled inside, reeking of alcohol. His gray hair, scruffy beard, and cheap clothes gave him away instantly. He was drinking even as he spoke. This is my escort. 3 kids and a woman, he scoffed. The woman looks capable, but the rest of you are barely older than my grandson. He took another swig. You're safe with them, Tazuna-san, Hiruzen assured, ignoring the stench. This is one of my most promising squads. Tazuna grumbled, glancing at the genin. Ami's hand twitched near her blade, Yakumo's eyes narrowed in silent offense, and Naruto just stared at him, gaze so cold it made the old builder shiver. What's with those eyes? Tazuna thought, unsettled. He cleared his throat. Anyway, the job's simple. Escort me to the land of waves and keep me safe while I finish the bridge. Understood, Yugo said, clapping her hands. Team, pack for at least 2 weeks. Meet at the south gate in 20 minutes. The genin nodded and left. Before following, Yugo gave Tazuna a warning. And do yourself a favor, sober up. A clear head keeps you alive. Yeah, you sound like my daughter. Tazuna waved her off, stumbling out. When the door shut, Uruka frowned. Hokage-sama is this wise, it feels early for them. Hiruzen leaned back, eyes thoughtful. Naruto's more than ready. Yakumo too. Ami may lag behind, but they'll protect her. Then he eyed the mountain of paperwork on his desk with a smirk. Not today, demon. Shadow clone jutsu. Uruka stared as 2 clones tackled the documents while the real Hokage cracked open an orange book. I need to learn that technique, he muttered. 2 hours later, rode to the land of waves, Tazuna eyed his escort suspiciously. You sure you've packed enough? None of you even carry backpacks. Yakumo smiled, pulling a scroll from her pouch. Everything stored here, food, clothes, tents, sealed and weightless. Tazuna raised a brow. That's convenient, a clever trick. More like routine, Ami muttered bitterly. She had been forced into extra training the past 2 weeks, while Naruto and Yakumo advanced quicker. Still, she'd learned the basics of sealing and sharpened her swordsmanship, even mastering her afterimage clone. Naruto, walking at the front, spoke without turning. What's normal for us can look impossible to outsiders. Remember that. Ami pouted, then asked curiously, Tazuna-san, why hire ninja from Konoha? Doesn't the land of waves have shinobi? No, we're too small for that, the bridge builder explained. We rely on other nations when trouble comes. Ami nodded slowly, then froze when she noticed something unusual ahead. Roughly 100 meters ahead, something unusual caught their eyes. A small puddle resting in the middle of the dirt road. Under normal circumstances, no one would have paid it much attention, but the region hadn't seen rainfall in weeks. The idea that water had lasted this long under the blazing sun was impossible. Ami, glancing at Yakumo beside her, felt a chill when she noticed the girl glaring at the puddle with an intensity that suggested she was staring at a sworn enemy. But then Yakumo's expression shifted, and she suddenly turned to their sensei. "Yugao-sensei, I need a quick break." Yugao's sharp eyes lingered on her, weighing the request. After a moment, she nodded and halted the group. Yakumo stepped into the bushes, and Tazuna let out a groan. "Seriously, we just left a couple hours ago and she already has to stop." Naruto glanced over his shoulder at the old man, voice calm but watchful. "Yakumo's body's always been fragile. She's gotten stronger, but sometimes her health still gives out. It's not something she can just push through." Even while speaking, Naruto's eyes weren't on Tazuna, they were on Ami. The purple-haired Kunoichi stiffened, realizing instantly, he noticed it too, that puddle. And if he's on guard, then something's definitely wrong. "I'm back. Sorry to keep you waiting," Yakumo announced with a faint smile as she returned. Yugao gave her a small nod, and the team continued down the road, closing in on the puddle. Nothing happened as they passed it. But the instant Yugao stepped beyond, the stagnant water rippled unnaturally, and two cloaked figures erupted from its surface. Their mouths were covered with strange breathing masks, and each wore a gauntlet fitted with a wicked chain ending in giant shuriken, mirrored between the left and right arm. Before anyone could properly react, the assassins whipped their chains forward, ensnaring Yugao. With a vicious yank, they ripped her body apart in a spray of blood. Ami's horrified scream pierced the air as her aunt collapsed, while Yakumo stood frozen in shock. Naruto spun on his heel, his massive claymore flashing as he lashed out at the attackers. They evaded, vaulting over him, and lunged straight at Tazuna. The bridge builder stumbled back in terror, only to be caught in their chains. A heartbeat later, his body too was shredded. "Target eliminated," one of the assassins barked. "Time to move," the other shouted, hurling smoke bombs that swallowed the road in thick, suffocating clouds. Neither of them noticed that the blood on their chains was fading, just like the bodies they thought they'd destroyed. When the smoke cleared, Team Blade and Tazuna were still standing, completely unharmed. What just happened?" Tazuna stammered, staring wide-eyed at Yakumo. She smirked lightly, pointing at the ground. "Genjutsu, while pretending to take a break, I cast it to expose them. That puddle gave their position away." "Nicely done," Yugao said warmly, pride evident in her eyes. Those two were the Demon Brothers, renegades from Kirigakure, specialists in assassination. "The real question is why they were after you, Tazuna-san." All eyes turned to the bridge builder. He swallowed hard, guilt etched across his face. "You lied," Naruto stated coldly. His tone was calm, but his gaze was icy. "They targeted you for a reason. And that reason just turned this into a higher-ranked mission." Tazuna sagged under their stares before finally sighing. "You're right, I lied to your Hokage. I begged for protection, but it wasn't just bandits I feared." "Somebody paid assassins to kill you," Ami muttered, then added with wide eyes, "Holy crap, that person must really hate you and have deep pockets too." "Language," Yugao snapped before fixing her glare back on Tazuna. "Explain everything. Now." With a defeated nod, Tazuna revealed the truth about his homeland. How the tyrant Gato bled the people dry, how their suffering mounted each day, and how the bridge he was building was the one hope to break free of his grip. The four shinobi listened intently. When he finished, Ami glanced at Yugao. "So, what's the plan, sensei?" Yugao sighed, rubbing her forehead. "Tazuna-san, do you realize how dangerous this is? You lied, and that lie nearly got my team killed. Those weren't bandits, they were Chunin. Protocol says we abort the mission and blacklist your entire village." Tazuna's shoulders slumped. "It's over," but Yugao's lips curved into a wry smile. "The truth is, I know my team wouldn't forgive me if I did that. Am I wrong?" She looked at her three genin. "You know us too well," Yakumo said softly, a smile tugging at her lips. Ami gave a sharp nod of agreement. "Gato deserves nothing but death," Naruto said coldly, his eyes burning with conviction. "Monsters like him only know how to exploit, just like Doflamingo. And like him, Gato will fall without mercy." "Then it's settled, we continue," Yugo declared firmly. Tears welled in Tazuna's eyes. Thank you, I swear I'll repay you all. Oh, you will, Yugo replied sweetly, patting his shoulder before leaning close and whispering, but if anything happens to my team, Gato will be the least of your problems. The old man went pale, nodding quickly. He understood the weight of her words.